Back for the Gamecocks yet? Doesn't mean we're not doing a show. Welcome in. Hope your Wednesday's off to a good start. Tim Hill, Bill Gunter, Jen Jensen with you. Bill going back-to-back shows, filling in for Heath last night, and here you are, less than 12 hours later, ready to go. More gas baggy hot takes, I'm sure.
I was going to say, I want this to be known when my run here at 107.5, the game comes to a conclusion. The Bill Gunner, when you wrap up the 4 to 7 show or the final local show of the evening, and you're back to business at 6 a.m. when you pull the back to back, the doubleheader, or I want it to be known as the Bill Gunner because I feel like I've done this. I did it last Wednesday and Thursday, and I'm gonna do it on Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's grueling. It's grueling. I mean, those getting done at 7 o'clock and having to order Domino's pizza and watch the Meg last. There was nothing on television last night. It was either that or what was I watching? What was ESPN's top 25 games of the year? I think it was Miami against Oklahoma State, the Cheez-It Bowl. And so I went with Meg for a little while. Awful movie. Awful movie. Don't watch it.
You guys should have seen Jen's physical reaction to the grueling comment there. You closed it down last night and you're opening up this morning. The old close and open. It happens.
The old close and open. Yeah.
All from the luxury of your home, not having to get up, deal with traffic.
You know what was so nice about 4 to 7 is I don't get smart, witty. We'll keep it PG show. From my producer on the 4 to 7 show doesn't offer his opinion quite as much.
Really, that's too bad. I'll talk to him. Tell him that you like that.
Yeah. No, it was enjoyable. It was actually a good show. A lot weird day yesterday. The Alliance press conference. Did you watch that? Did you take that in?
When it was announced, you could tell this thing was going to be a ridiculous. It was an alliance of what? First of all, the word is the weirdest word of all time. I've only heard it applied to Survivor. Secondly, when they talked about that it wasn't going to necessarily affect football scheduling, then what are they doing? I don't know. What did they do? To me, they made themselves feel better because Oklahoma and Texas clearly strengthened the SEC, and they didn't have a counter move, and this is the best they could do. Is that not how you translate it, Phil?
I said this last night, and I'll say it again. It was much to do about nothing. I jokingly refer to it as we have an alliance, and that's what we have, an alliance, and we're together, and we're partners, and we're friends. We're super friends now, and we're an alliance. Well, what does your alliance do? Well, the alliance is the alliance, and the alliance stands for what we're going to do together, and the Olympic sports are going to be part of it. There'll be some scheduling. All right, so Mr. Phelps, what exactly is your alliance? Well, it's an alliance. We're aligned. Our thoughts, our beliefs, we're all aligned. That's what we are. Is there a contract? Oh, no. It's a gentleman's agreement. No, that went well last year, as I said. That was last year. The last time there was a gentleman's agreement, Tim, didn't we do a morning show where we were like, oh, all 5 conferences have said they're going to work together to decide whether to play college football. And by 2 p.m., Big Ten was like, sorry, we're out. We're not a part of this.
And are they even together on the college football playoff expansion? They're not, are they?
I didn't. There were people saying I heard yesterday 2 of the 3 Super Friends saying that they were for expansion, and a third Super Friend saying that his conference, the ACC, was still on the fence about it.
Understand what alliance means, gentlemen?
It was. I do think, Tim, that this is the step. While being awkward and funny, and I don't even maybe a baby step toward the continued breakaway of the Power Five from everything else. I labeled it yesterday. It was the continued evolution of college football, and there was a very good listener that sent me a text message, Lyle, I think, and said it's not college football. The non-Power Five didn't change today. It's only the FBS, and it's really only the Power Five. And I do think that is what yesterday was. When you see 3 conferences come together, I thought it was entertaining. Like, so when Jim Phillips was like, yes, we would like to see the Big 12 do well. We need the Big 12 to do well. Somebody's like, well, why didn't you guys invite them? Oh, their phone's busy. Their phone was busy. Busy phone. Couldn't get them on.
I mean, it's like it was like a middle school clique press conference. Like if the other friend group just got the two new popular kids, and then everybody left over is like, hey, we got to do something at lunch, otherwise we're gonna look uncool, man. We got to say something. Somebody just hit us up, Scott, said it reminded him of Step Brothers regarding the alliance. What was that? I forget their company that they announced that it was a media conglomerate or something, and they did a PowerPoint about it, just had backed it up on nothing. It's just so, I mean, could you have imagined we would have gotten to this place? First of all, I never would have imagined that Oklahoma and Texas just would have said, oh, yeah, by the way, we're going to join the SEC. Just like that, kind of out of the blue when it happened. The secret backdoor conversations that no one was really aware of outside of them, the way they were able to keep it quiet, and then it just popped up. And then now this is the response? I really thought we were going to get a school or two, basically two schools added to some major conferences in kind of a response, but this is what we get, the alliance.
Yeah.
Because this day, not too long after Shane Beamer's press conference, where we didn't get much news out of there either, especially from a starting quarterback standpoint. Shane Beamer not announcing starting quarterback and saying that Zeb Nolan, the graduate assistant turned quarterbacks, only had about 4 days of practice. The main reason for that, also Luke Doty now out of the cast in the walking boots, still want to monitor his progress and see where he is from the Gamecock football standpoint and what the options will be on the September 4th opener for Eastern Illinois. What'd you make of Shane Beamer's press conference and hearing from the Gamecocks yesterday, Bill?
Kind of like you said, not a whole lot. In this past weekend, had a chance to go to the beach and hang out with the kids. Kind of a final hurrah. I've got a Lindy's magazine over there that was finally able to be purchased and read a tad. But on the way back, I was able to kind of make some phone calls and just talk to people, see what's going on kind of down there. And I'm of the belief that Zeb Nolan, and I've got my pad. I did the show from my couch yesterday because I didn't have to live stream. I've got some other stats on Zeb Nolan. I think Zeb Nolan will end up being the starter. That's my opinion. We'll see what ends up happening. I think you continue to ask the question that we've kind of brought up here is, how exactly do you want to handle Luke Doty? And what is the significance or the importance of getting him snaps in the first game? Does he need them? I tied it in a little bit with Trevor Lawrence yesterday because I watched the Jacksonville New Orleans game and Trevor Lawrence needing snaps. But now what do you do with him in the regular season? Because that offensive line for Jacksonville is not good, and Jacksonville's not going to be good. And do you want to send him out there and get him hurt? How do you treat a rookie quarterback in the NFL? Well, how do you treat this situation right now for South Carolina? If Luke Doty's truly 100%, then I think it's a no-brainer. He plays. The feeling that I got from most people was that he would be close to 100%, but do you still want to run him out there if there's any risk of a lingering injury that could carry on, that something could happen in that game? South Carolina doesn't need Luke Doty to win that game. The stats for Zeb Nolan, Tim, if you go back and look, everybody's talked about Zeb Nolan against Oklahoma. Zeb Nolan had other performances against Baylor. He had one against Oklahoma State. He started against Akron. South Carolina should be able to run the ball effectively. They should be able to manage the game, and it might not be pretty. It might not be a game that sends people home with the warm and fuzzies. It might be 24-0 or 31-7, and it might not be a call your number type game like Charleston Southern was. But South Carolina can win the game and probably get through a week with Kevin Harris being very limited and with Luke Doty either barely playing or not playing at all. And I think there might even be an element of surprise going into East Carolina, who I've become more and more worried about. And anybody that listened last night heard me talk about it, that I've become more and more worried about from a standpoint of almost becoming a must-win in season one.
It's got so many different layers, I feel like, and taking this approach wouldn't be nearly as, it's not controversial necessarily or anything like that, but I guess it would just make a lot more sense if I had not have heard offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield saying, when do you want a starting quarterback? As soon as possible. But maybe that is maybe more of Marcus Satterfield's personality as opposed to Shane Beamer taking the more patient approach here. I don't know. Maybe this is just more the public word versus what's actually going on behind closed doors that we don't really know the details on. I'm not sure. I do know that the fact that we get to talk to offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield or hear from him today and defensive coordinator Clayton White again for a second week in a row, and we'll get to do it again next week, will, I think, give us a few more details and certainly make the conversation more interesting than it would be without having heard the offensive coordinator's perspective in all of this, or just someone other than the head coaches, another coach's perspective other than the head coach's perspective on this. But I mentioned yesterday that I thought it was about 50-50 the chance of hearing a starting quarterback just from where this program is right now, and let you hear some of what Shane Beamer had to say about it, because he said that ideally you're able to name a starter and get behind that guy and go from there. It's just that one of those quarterbacks that's in the mix right now hasn't had much of a chance and is trying to work off some rust. A guy who has played most recently here in the spring for North Dakota State, and your other guy's still battling with him. Bill, I'm kind of shocked. I mean, this story is fantastical. We've never heard of it before in college football. A guy who was a graduate assistant, Shane Beamer says he and Zeb Nolan didn't even talk about the prospect of playing, just assumed that the playing days were over. Shane Beamer did when talking to a guy who had played at Iowa State, then first for North Dakota State. It didn't work out at the end of last season. I think he ended up starting 7 games for North Dakota State and then got beat out there. And so it was all coaching. And then, as Shane Beamer told it yesterday, at some point during the summer there, Satterfield says, Zeb Nolan still has some eligibility, right? And then it ended up working out that way with the Luke Doty injury. When it first happened, I don't think you were on the show with me that day, but I said, this is a thing that makes a lot of sense. Why I just had a graduate assistant throwing passes in practice. If the guy's got eligibility, if it were to come to that, it makes sense. I get it. This is more for having 4 offensive units operating at the same time and working practice smoothly. And from that standpoint, from a depth standpoint, I did not see this happening like this, where Zeb Nolan seems to be right in the mix, if not, like you said, kind of the guy that you think might end up getting the starting nod.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think some of that is that Jason Brown has not been able to grasp everything. I know Shane Beamer said that I think the last practice of the last few days have been the best for Jason Brown, and maybe that's part of having competition in the quarterback room. And Colton Gauthier doesn't appear to be ready just yet. That's not a surprise given that he's a freshman. Connor Jordan hadn't been able to really provide the necessary presence there, I think, to push Jason Brown. Zeb Nolan's a little bit different. We talk about what Jason Brown did at St. Francis, but Zeb Nolan's stats against the Big 12 and throw in Akron are not bad. They're not bad at all. Now, again, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that Zeb Nolan is the second coming of Dylan Thompson or a great quarterback. And let's also be clear about this, because I feel like this is being lost. Luke Doty is not gone for the season. And I feel, Tim, the way this is being drawn out is Shane Beamer wants Luke Doty to start game 1. And that's why Shane Beamer is not doing this. And Shane Beamer feels, based on the intel that he's being given by the trainers, by Luke Doty himself, by everybody, that Shane Beamer truly feels there's a very good chance that Luke Doty could be the starter for game 1. And if he's not, he will be the starter for game 2. There is a starting quarterback for South Carolina. Let's be clear about that, because I feel like people are making this thing out to be more than it is. We're just trying to figure out who the backup is, who will start for game 1. The starting quarterback is determined. It is Luke Doty. He's injured right now, but the reason that they're not naming a backup is because they kind of believe, or to me, Shane Beamer, I think, believes that Luke Doty can come back. And again, I think South Carolina really could trot out any of the quarterbacks for Eastern Illinois. It'll be kind of interesting. Market, it's on my list. ESPN Plus this weekend, 6 o'clock. ESPN Plus. Eastern Illinois plays Indiana State. Indiana State is a 13.5-point favorite. Might have to make it kind of entertaining, Tim. Indiana State to the point, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know yet. It's days away. But the point being is South Carolina can even watch that Eastern Illinois game and say, okay, this is their personnel. This is what they did as a 2-touchdown underdog against Indiana State. I feel like this is now we're getting to a point where it's being a tad bit overblown because we're just talking about one game. And right now, as we sit here at 6:20 on Wednesday morning, the starting quarterback is still in the mix to potentially play, and that's Luke Doty. And I just don't think I think South Carolina, regardless of whether it's Doty or Brown or Nolan or whomever, I'm starting to realize that this is going to be a very vanilla offensive game plan, that everybody's going to show up fired up and expect big sparks and passes through the air, where it's just going to be a lot of handoffs and run the football, and it's going to be a boring game plan because of the importance of week 2 and not showing anything on film that East Carolina can really use. And South Carolina should win that way. They should win that way. And it might not be 52-0. It might be 24-0, but a win is a win right now. And for this program, that's what they need.
Completely agree with that last point, but that has me disagreeing with about 90% of what you said right before that. Give you my response when we come back. Just getting warmed up this morning. Loving your comments already on the Facebook live stream. I'm seeing Curtis and Danny RL on the YouTube live stream this morning, so we're up and rolling video-wise as well. You can also catch us on Twitter. The station handles at 1075 The Game, 803-404-6100. If you want to hit us up, you can call or text that same number, 404-100, where we see Matt and an anonymous texter helping me out with Prestige Worldwide was the name of the company. And actually, everybody knows that Prestige Worldwide is the first word in entertainment management, financial portfolios, black leather gloves, among other things. Step Brothers, underrated, or maybe it's properly rated. It's just that I'm an old dude and I don't remember movies so well these days. Thank you for your help on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, and looking forward to hearing more of your opinions. No starting quarterback for game number 1, I guess is the exact way to say it, for Gamecock football at this point. What you hear some from Shane Beamer. We've got Zeb Nolan, who spoke yesterday for the first time publicly as a Gamecock. We've got those running backs you talked about, Bill, yesterday, or I know you heard from a little bit yesterday when you filled in for Heath, and Juju McDowell and Marshawn Lloyd. They're impressed with each other and very confident at this point. Let you hear some of what they have to say this morning as we roll on as well. Just getting started here. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game. Good start for me. Spilled coffee right on my crotch. Way to start the day.
What now?
Spilled a sizable amount of coffee on my crotch this morning to start.
Oh, that would be embarrassing if we were at the office.
So, how did you tweak the knee in the ocean? Is the question.
Well, I was diving around pretty good. I made a pretty spectacular grab. We were playing with like a little Franklin, little rubber football that, you know, it wasn't even a flag football style football. This was just one that you could palm and stuff. And, you know, like, right. So anyway, I made a pretty spectacular grab one time where I dove to my left, caught it one-handed, was completely underwater, but the elbow and wrist and football stayed out of the water. And so we were having a good time. We were bouncing back and forth. And it was a Saturday. It was a little overcast, and the current was a little bit stronger than it typically is. And so I think just bouncing around at some point in there, I might have turned it one way or not. I still got that meniscus injury. But I woke up Sunday night about 2 a.m. It was in a lot of pain. So I don't know if it was something that took a while to. And then we walked a lot. We did the Fort Sumter tour. Took the kids out to Fort Sumter and
Little boy.
checked that out. So
you're gonna go get a shot in your knee and get it fixed up?
I've iced it pretty good. Actually, this morning as I've started moving around, it feels a lot better. I don't know how I'll do swinging a golf club. The transition of weight, I believe, could be an issue.
Or twisting?
Yes, Curtis, it is definitely old age. It is definitely. We've got 9 months until 40. Of course, that's the thing. I don't ever get sick. I'm not a sick person. I'm a like banged up person. Knee, ankle.
That's me, orthopedically.
Yeah.
The list of surgeries is a little long.
The bone density and tendon structure of like a 85-year-old I have.
So I already had a.
Go
ahead.
Zeb is not mobile, DC. That would be. Let's see. I looked at it, all of his stats yesterday. Of course, I don't know. I think there was a stretch of games he played in. All right, I'm just looking. So in 2019 at North Dakota State, he had 1 rush for -2 yards. In 2018 at Oklahoma State, there were 7 rushes for -13 yards. And in 2017, it was 1 attempt for -9 yards. But again, he doesn't need to be mobile. He just needs to be mobile enough to turn around and get the ball to the running back that's behind him.
Shane, can we come back with number 2, please? Try to get this working.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah, clearly. You guys are all over the milk crate challenges. Did you talk about that at all yesterday?
Do what?
Straight in.
The milk crate challenge. Yes, Jen.
I did not get into that.
Good. We talked about it plenty. Too much.
Situation is he got his cast off on Sunday. He's in a boot right now. I talked to him before practice. He's able to take the boot off and move around a little bit, but when he's out on the field, he's got the boot on. Feels good. We'll keep progressing him along and see where he is. So that's one situation we're still working through. With the other guys that are competing, I mean, frankly, Zeb had a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practice last week and a scrimmage. So he's really only been playing quarterback for obviously a week. So give him today, tomorrow, Thursday will be critical practices. And then I think we'll have a better idea how that thing's going to shake out here towards the end of the week once we get through these next few practices with our current quarterbacks. And then once we see what Luke's situation is also.
I was about to say, do you have a drop dead date that you know that we got to have a guy by this time?
I mean, you'd love to go into next week where everybody knows who the quarterback is, where we can rally around that guy and he starts getting those reps with the first group and things like that as well. But I mean, all those guys, Luke before he got injured, Jason, Zeb now, I mean, they've all gotten plenty of work with that first group, with that second group, and whoever it is. I mean, we've got confidence whoever takes the first snap out there next Saturday night to go perform.
5.
Yes. So from that standpoint, yes, sooner the better. But at the
Shane Beamer yesterday, starting quarterback at the beginning of his press conference, the large topic of conversation with Luke Doty. out injured with a midfoot sprain, officially questionable for game number 1 against Eastern Illinois on September 4th. So, Bill, I totally understand what you were saying in the last segment, that you think, especially as it pertains to game number 1, Eastern Illinois team that's a 13.5 underdog to Indiana State this weekend. That's one game each of its last 2 seasons on the FCS level. That whoever plays quarterback, the main job in game 1 will be to hand off, throw a few passes to mainly guys out of the backfield. Maybe it will be a vanilla game plan because you don't want to show too much to East Carolina or Georgia, your next 2 opponents. And South Carolina should physically dominate Eastern Illinois. No doubt about that. And my point of contention, though, is that I think for this team at this point, the starting quarterback needs to get some confidence, because you only got a guy that's played 2.5 games as your undisputed starting quarterback in Luke Doty. And we have it up on the video stream right now. No starting quarterback right now for the Gamecocks. No starting quarterback yet for the Gamecocks. And your point is that, no, they do have a starting quarterback. His name is Luke Doty. But for game number 1, you know. And then moving forward, what kind of confidence do you take into game number 2 at East Carolina? Because I know you had Stephen Igo, who covers East Carolina, on the station about a week ago or so, and mentioned how that kind of opened your eyes to what the game meant to East Carolina. I've talked to some East Carolina fans, and they're talking about how the South Carolina game is the biggest game on the schedule and the whole thing. So it's a very important game from their standpoint. We have the tendency to overlook that game or maybe chalk it up as compared to the rest of the schedule. But obviously the coaches can't do that. And to get the offense playing with confidence and to get that coming from the quarterback position, where right now you don't have a body of work from anybody in a uniform that's done that for the Gamecocks. You have a guy, Jason Brown, who's put up some good stats at St. Francis, but hadn't played in a couple of years, and that was on the FCS level. You have Zeb Nolan coming off of a spring schedule at North Dakota State, but ended up getting beat out, and his college career ended. Yesterday he was talking about how much he appreciates now the chance to get one more chance to play football. And then you have Luke Doty, who is very early on in his career, put in a brutal situation at the end of last year and had some decent numbers, but couldn't get the Gamecocks a win against Missouri, and then the last couple of games were pretty uncompetitive. So that, for those reasons, I think it's a little extra important to make the right call and to get some confidence coming from your quarterback position out of game number 1. Because, I mean, we all know I'm of the Spurrier mindset, much more mindset, right? Preparing is great, and performing in practice is fantastic. But it pales in comparison to doing it in a game in the fall on Saturdays in a stadium, and to have that experience under your belt, I think, is much more important than what you do in practice. Looked like you were a little perplexed on my take there, Bill, as I was yapping my guess.
No, I think it's interesting. I was going back to the text message line, and you get Charles, who are like, people are talking about this. You were talking about it. Well, it is an interesting situation. I don't think it's an interesting situation because I guess it is the injury, but trying to define what you just said. Luke Doty is going to be fine. Luke Doty is going to be perfectly fine. He will be ready to go. He should be ready to go for game 2 if he doesn't play in game 1. And again, the game one outcome doesn't hinge on Luke Doty. I think, Tim, what you just asked or what you just described is where we're at, because the very next text message is Richard, who says, if we see Luke Doty against Eastern Illinois, it makes me worried because that means he really needs work. I don't know if that's what it means. I wonder if there's a part of it that is what Tim is saying, that you play Luke Doty because he needs to be on the field and have some positive things happen. I'll go back. That Ryan Helinski game against Charleston Southern, I think because he was able to go out and have positive things happen against a very bad Charleston Southern team. And that's what they were. 72 to 6.
It's comparable, right? Comparable to Eastern Illinois on the paper.
And because of that, Luke Doty was able to take that confidence into the game against Alabama the following week. And I know South Carolina got blown out in the second half, but they were fighting in the first half, and Luke Doty had Ryan Olinsky had confidence because of what you just said. He was able to go out the week prior against a much inferior opponent and throw it around and just build confidence in the stadium in front of a crowd. I think there is an element to that. And so that's why when you say getting him out there, I completely understand it. And I think that's why we are discussing this right now, not because there's a quarterback competition at South Carolina in terms of the season-long starter, or because you're worried about winning the first game. I think the question is more of, where is Luke Doty health-wise? He got his cast off on Sunday. Today will be Wednesday. So again, Shane Beamer saying yesterday that he's in a walking boot, so he's not going through practice. But he's able to take the boot off and do a few things here or there. Where will he be, say, on Saturday and Sunday? Where will he be by the time we roll back around to Shane Beamer's press conference on Tuesday? And to me, it feels like Shane Beamer, by delaying, and again, I'm kind of just reading the tea leaves and listening to Beamer, it feels like Shane Beamer's in your camp. He'd like to get Luke Doty out there against Eastern Illinois. That he would like, if Luke Doty can play, he would like Luke Doty to play to make some positive things happen, for Shane to see his true first-team offense on the field against a different opponent, and then that way maybe they can make a few adjustments here or there for the following week against East Carolina. But again, to get Luke out there, I think that's why it's an interesting conversation. Not because of the first game, but because how do you want to handle it going into what I continue to believe will be a massive second game against an opponent that looks ready to jump up and bite you if you're not ready.
Well, also the fact that you have just the unique competitors right now for playing time, and Zeb Nolan, who takes off the graduate assistant coach hat and then pops in on practice as a player and using his last year of eligibility. You got another FCS transfer in Jason Brown. You got a true freshman at three-star recruit in Colton Gauthier. Patrick Perrette just joining us now as well. What do you make, Patrick, of the updated quarterback situation now that we heard from Shane Beamer yesterday? No official starting quarterback name for the Gamecocks for game number 1.
Well, Zeb Nolan's on the roster now. Did you see his number?
25.
Yeah, so he's out of the competition. You're not going to start a quarterback with number 25 in week 1. It's just not going to happen. That's all I needed to see.
We started Bobby Fuller with number 20.
How'd that go? I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, it was back in the 80s.
Before you were born, sir.
So how'd it go?
I would say it went okay. Is that a fair way to put it, Bill?
I don't remember it going well back in the day, but again, I was young. We're talking I believe late 80s, the Bobby Fuller era. That was I believe filling in for Todd Ellis after the knee injury against NC State. Am I right on that? Am I factually correct on that, Tim?
I think that's correct.
Okay, yeah.
Sounds right.
So you're right to an extent, Patrick. You're right. It was a situation similar to this. You had your starter go down. You're looking at your backup. So
wait a second. What was Doug Flutie's number in college?
22.
Yeah, I think he was in the 20s, right? Nice work.
22.
Off the top of your head. Yeah. Patrick, good try. Have you noticed? I mean, how many guys switched numbers here? JJ Enagbare has switched to number 1, I believe. Who else? Was Rick Sanders switched
I believe Jaheim Bell is wearing 0.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
you got
it's the first time it's allowed, though, right?
Yeah, the big guys up front are switching to single digits because they say when you're a single digit big guy, that means you got to be a player. I never thought we'd see in the NFL the guys wearing the teens, the wide receiver. That was the weirdest thing to me. I think Sidney Rice got in that on early in his career. That's been the big shift to me. I was like, if you're not wearing an 80-something, you're not going to make a team as a wide receiver back in the day. So
it's going to be even weirder in the NFL now.
What's going on now?
Well, now the single digits are in play, and they're for every position. It's like you're going to see linebackers out there wearing single-digit numbers and things like that. So it's going to look really weird in the NFL field.
Poor official.
An adjustment for sure.
Tom Brady wasn't happy about it.
Gentlemen, is there an ideal situation? Is my question. Is it, to me, I don't know if there's an ideal situation. I mean, you can spin it either way, right? If you're a doom and gloom guy, I think you can find a problem with whoever ends up starting as quarterback for Eastern Illinois. Especially if it's Luke Doty, you can say, oh, man, I'm worried about him getting out there or right off the injury and the whole thing, and maybe there's no quarterback depth. If it's someone else, you say, this is not a great sign for the program necessarily moving forward, or you want to make sure Doty gets confidence in the whole deal. Those are some of the thoughts going through my head. Is there a best case scenario, Bill, in your mind for what happened at quarterback for South Carolina in game number 1?
Luke Doty wears pads and whether he plays or not, he's wearing pads.
Tim, I've come so far around on this. I'm so terrified of East Carolina that I would rather. So let's go into this a little bit, and I think part of the Luke Doty conversation is covering up a really good, fun interview yesterday, and you kind of listening to it doesn't really give you the vibe of, we were talking about Step Brothers and that start the show. But watching the interview, if you've got time today, if you've got 5 or 6 minutes to go watch the interview between Marshawn Lloyd and Juju McDowell, they did a kind of a tandem interview. And I only say that because, look, at the end of the day, to me, this is all about South Carolina's running game and who and what you want to see in game 1. Are you excited to see Marshawn Lloyd for the first time? We've been talking about this kid now for 27 months, committed May 19th, Memorial Day of May 2019. And we finally, I think, get to see him run the football. I want to see a few other guys. Like to me, it's kind of what you want to see. And then it's also adding in the importance of the East Carolina game. And I'm kind of with Patrick on this. I think Patrick and I are aligned on this. I don't see a reason to give Luke Doty a snap. I think it gives you a leg up on East Carolina in terms of what your actual offense is going to look like. B, East Carolina has to play Appalachian State on Thursday night in Boone. I think they're a 10 or 11-point underdog is what I saw yesterday on Vegas Insider. East Carolina is going to need to bring their A game and show some things that maybe they typically wouldn't want to show in that game. You're going to get to see a lot of what East Carolina wants to do. You can hide a lot of what you want to do for game 2. And when I look at the rest of the schedule with Georgia and Kentucky, you can't lose that East Carolina game. Otherwise, you're staring down a September of a potential 1-3 start. I would take my risk of keeping Luke Doty out, making sure he's completely healthy, even if it goes against what you just said earlier about giving the chance to do something positive, and then having Luke Doty completely healthy and a bit of an unknown going into the East Carolina game up there.
What if he just came out for the first drive and only handed the ball off?
It's not the NFL. If he plays, he plays. This isn't you're not just if he's going to play, you play him. We're not. This isn't a preseason.
Is that what they do in the NFL? Are you talking about preseason?
Yeah. What I'm watching in the preseason here. Not again. I still, as a group here, I don't know if everybody made the effort on Sunday night or Monday night to watch Jacksonville and New Orleans. I still want to get into that a little bit. What Jacksonville should do down in there with their quarterback situation, given how their team looks. But no, to Patrick, if he plays until you're up 3 or 4 scores and you feel comfortable, and then you throw somebody else in. If you're going to play him, you play him. Don't send him out for one series to have him hand the ball off.
It's a ceremonial series. Just show that he's healthy. If you hand it off 5 times and each one is a 20.
He can lead the team. He can wear pads and lead the team out of the tunnel in 2001. And if I watch him jog out at a decent speed, I'll know that he's healthy.
To me, it would be ideal scenario, first quarter. Maybe you get Luke Doty out there. He leads the team on 3 scoring drives. You head on over, you put the hat on, take the helmet off, and you get the clipboard going, and you're good over there. And you get these other guys some experience as well and show that they can do something. To me, that's the ideal scenario right now for Gamecock football. That you get Luke Doty healthy and playing well. You don't do it for too long, and then you're good to go the rest of the way. But I don't know how realistic that might be moving forward for this team. I don't think anybody knows at this point, and that's where Shane Beamer seemed to be yesterday. We'll continue to hear more from him. Appreciate the feedback here. It was Dickie DeMacy that you were thinking of, Bill, that ended up
thank you.
Todd Ellis. And then it was Bobby Fuller the next couple of seasons for the Gamecocks. In with Sparky Woods from App State, 1990 and 91, where he put up some good stats, actually. Or solid stats, I should say. Ended up throwing for more than 2,300 yards in both seasons, more than 2,500 yards in 91, 13 touchdowns, 9 picks in the first season in 90, 15 touchdowns, and 8 picks.
Hey, staying corrected.
But kind of forgettable or relatively easily forgotten 6-5 record in 1990, and then 3-6-2, 2 ties in 1991. go back in the day with a quarterback wearing numbers in the 20s. That's where we are this morning. Appreciate you joining the show as well. 803-404-6100 if you would like to call or text. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game.
Everybody up and moving? Okay. Does Austin got something to wear? It concerns me that two Clemson fans knew more about Bobby Fuller than we did. Of course, it was in 90 and 91. So again, I was not 10 years old yet, but
Never heard of Nicky DeMacy. Never heard of Bobby Fuller. I've heard of Todd Ellis. Maybe I have heard of Bobby Fuller, but it does sound like a very common name.
Yeah, Bobby Fischer for some reason. I want to hear that. Prestige Worldwide.
Already had a guy who called in. It's kind of laughing and carrying on. Yeah, ha ha ha. This team's terrible anyway. I don't know why we're worried about the quarterback. Ha 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 ha. And I said, well, good morning. It's always good to hear from a Clemson fan.
And then we got the other side of that. Brad on the text line has sent it in 2 times. An article from the state newspaper about ESPN analysts, ESPN ranking Clemson as the easiest schedule in the ACC.
Yeah, yet again.
Doesn't that have to do with Clemson not having Clemson on their schedule?
Totally.
Right? Like, they do have an easy schedule, but every team that plays Clemson in the ACC is going to have a harder schedule than Clemson.
True.
They also
By default.
they don't have North Carolina or Miami. That's pretty helpful.
It's like why Arkansas and South Carolina are always the toughest schedules in the country. Man, I hate that Marquez Callaway had such a good game against the Jaguars on prime time. Now everybody knows about him, and I won't be able to steal him in fantasy.
Nope. Real world problems.
Yeah. It's been 3 leagues this year. I've never done that. It's way too much.
3 is too much. No good. You're gonna be playing against your own players every week.
Now I'm gonna make my teams as similar as physically possible.
Then you're just sacrificing. You're making sacrifices during the draft. It's just going to come back to bite you, Patrick.
Yeah, it's actually not going to be completely possible because I think one of the leagues is 10 teams, one is 12 teams, and one is 14. The one that's important is the 14-person league, though.
So are you playing in an alliance?
he is.
No, we're all enemies. We had to kick people out because they tried to make an alliance in the past.
Oh,
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, like at the end of the season when you're out of playoff contention, making just terrible trades to try and
Well, that's just
bolster
bad.
another roster.
Bad commissioner. How did the commissioner okay that?
Well, it didn't really get okayed because we have veto power. 3 people need to veto a trade, and it's okay.
Well,
And that's what we did.
I think you got a weak commissioner to me. In every league, you have to have commissioner approval. So what's the commissioner do?
Well, we kicked him out. We voted him out.
What to do is to deny the trade one time. We couldn't just go
Yeah,
that.
well, that's why we have it. That's why I have it built in there. If you go on the feed, there's like 24 hours before any trade can go through, and if 3 people veto it, it gets axed.
Heading back in.
Let's do another Beamer cut here. The last one, I think it is.
Marshawn and Juju.
No, number 7, please.
Oh, last Beamer. Okay.
Will only continue to get better, along with what Jason Brown has done. Jason Brown had the best week of practice he's had as a Gamecock last week. I mean, Zeb being out there has really pushed Jason, and I would say the same about Colton as well. Both those guys had really, really, really good weeks as well out there on the practice field. So we're where we are from a quarterback position right now.
Shane Beamer yesterday not naming the starting quarterback ahead of the season opener on September 4th for Eastern Illinois. Wants to see how healthy Luke Doty is and how he might factor in. Also wants to give Zeb Nolan, the graduate assistant turned player, a few more practices than the 4 he's had already. And Nolan talked about the most yesterday. I think that's the natural byproduct of being the Bill and also his unique story. I'm not sure how much I put into that. And I know what you said. You feel like he's going to be the starter for game number 1. If you had to choose today, is that what you're saying? You would bet on Zeb Nolan? Patrick, I forget. You went, I put it written down here, you went as Jason Brown a 50% shot to be your starting quarterback yesterday with Nolan just a 10%. Have you changed your mind on those odds after Shane Beamer and his comments yesterday?
Probably. I think I would probably put Jason Brown 10% higher than Zeb Nolan. And then Luke Doty is probably in like the 25% range.
Okay.
I don't think that he's gonna start.
But Bill, from what you heard, that's the main reason why you had that moved up there. Was it more Wes Mitchell reporting over the weekend, coming out of the scrimmage, what he was hearing, that Nolan and Brown were pretty much kind of neck and neck for this thing if Luke Doty can't go?
Well, I kind of looked at Zeb Nolan's stats from his time at Iowa State, and again, if you look at his
It's the Big
stats,
12. I
okay,
can put
but,
up big numbers in the Big 12, and I can't
so
even
then
throw
are
a
you
spiral.
just so then are we just discounting what Jason Brown did at the FCS
Well, yeah.
level?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then you look at who Zeb Nolan went against, and it's not like he was playing football in the spring. I don't know how quickly you get out of shape. I mean, Tim, you played golf with the guy, but a month ago,
Was he in golfing shape?
Excellent golfing shape.
Are you ever out of golfing shape?
He smashed
Yeah,
it.
I can't be in the sun for that long.
I just, and again, against the Big 12 competition, 76 of 131 for 999 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And then you throw in the Akron game, 26 of 34, 233 yards and a touchdown. I tend to lead with the guy who is, and the Big 12 games again was TCU, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, and I think, and there was, and Baylor. Did I say Baylor? TCU, Oklahoma State, Baylor, and Oklahoma. So I mean, I don't think that he's that far removed from it, and the fact that I think the game 1 we've heard Marcus Satterfield say, "Hey, we're not asking him to be a Heisman candidate. We're asking him to get the play in, get the play out, get the ball where it needs to go." I kind of lean that. We'll see. I think maybe the poll question is, and I don't even know if it's a poll question, Tim and Patrick. The list of things you want to see in game 1. Where does quarterback stand? I think some people just say, I'm excited just to see the team run out to 2001 again in a packed stadium before I am the quarterback situation for that game. Maybe I'm wrong.
Stephen H. on the Facebook live stream, I'll just be happy to win the game. Some of that as well after 8 losses in each of the last 2 seasons for sure. Bill, just for clarity's sake, those stats that you were reading off, the Big 12 stats for Zeb Nolan, that was 2018, correct?
Right. 2017, 2018, yes.
3 years ago, 2 seasons ago in 2019, the last time Jason Brown played in the FCS game. What a unique situation. Hour 2 coming up here on the early. You guys gonna cut the spot? Bill, you good to do that? Or no?
Yeah,
We got-
let me. I'm not taking the kids to school, and we got some time to do that. Let me make sure everybody's ready. So I got Lauren taking them for me. So Lauren's taking them. So let me just make sure they're ready. Then Jen, we'll see if we need to. We do it in the 8 o'clock hour. Josh just sent me the script, so we're good. In just a minute. Make sure kids are off to school properly.
You see, Nerlens Noel is suing Rich Paul for $58 million.
No. What for? Let's see it.
Okay, I'm reading the article right now. Apparently, Rich Paul had Nerlens Noel leave his agent by telling him he was a $100 million man and told him he could get him a max deal if he left his agent. He also took Rich Paul's advice to end the negotiations with the Mavericks that would have given him $70 million and told him to take a $4 million qualifying offer with the intention of later getting a max deal on the free agent market. Then he missed 42 games, and now he's making a $3.7 million league minimum deal. Don't sign for $70 million, and now he's going to make 15 over 3 years.
No, he just signed a 3-year deal that guarantees him 27.7.
27.7. I gotta read further. Oh, here we go. This was before.
I think he's gonna do okay.
He'd be doing a lot better if he had $70 million. I wonder if that.
If I can't make it on 27 million, I really have issues.
Oh, somebody said this is what I've been waiting for after hearing Patrick drag Zeb's stats through the mud. I don't know if I dragged him through the mud, but I need to pull him back up so I can be ready to do that.
We'll know exactly where you're at. All right, no stickers on your shirt? Yeah, I got everything off. All right, good.
All right, it's happening over there at Bill's house. A obscure reference of the day. Not only did Bobby Fuller come from Appalachian State, but also his offensive line teammate.
Yeah, I heard a little bit of it.
Where does that come from, Logan? Please explain why that was on your mind, sir.
He's just coming up with ideas because yesterday the off topics were that I know Logan was getting into the Jackass discussion, and then also we had horror movies.
Yeah.
But that was pertinent because I just seen the Candyman trailer on.
I was just scrolling through Twitter and seeing American Horror Story. I know people are real into American Horror Story.
Morning, Josh. Glad you're healthy, sir.
It is fun to people watch sometimes. The people walking on the street.
Any particular reason this morning, Jen?
Just you have some curious folks who are just kind of looking in the window, which sometimes you expect when the TVs are on, but it does not appear they are.
Mm-hmm.
So then there was the guy who was texting and kind of tripped in the flower bed. That was kind of amusing. So
Oof. That happened.
And if you don't mind, we'll cut that here. Cut that in the 8 o'clock hour. Everybody's about to get out of here.
yeah, we did 7:55.
What would you classify The Sixth Sense as?
Suspense. Yeah. Suspense with a twist.
Yeah, I wanted to grab my DVD case yesterday to check my horror section because I didn't think I had anything. The Shining is the only thing close to it. Have you seen Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp?
No, I've heard it was pretty good.
It's pretty good. Not
Oh, you
bad. I don't know why I own that movie. I definitely don't like it enough to have purchased it.
Johnny Depp and Willy Wonka just sort of weirded me out for watching him.
Yeah.
Like that was so over the top weird.
There's a new one coming out. An origin story starring Timothy Chalamet. About a child Wonka.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Timothy Chalamet is
Yeah, I saw that.
20, low 20s, maybe 20, 23, 24.
No idea.
Yeah, just called Wonka. Directed by Paul King,
Hate that name.
who made the Paddington movies.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
How many Roald Dahl books became movies? You got a pretty good success rate there.
We were in the intro. That's right.
Syracuse, Texas Tech add their names to the list amongst the college football programs out there naming a starting quarterback. The ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12 are now all aligned or in an alliance. I don't know how you say that. Alliance. And Peacock Football will delay its announcement for the starting quarterback in game number 1 with Luke Doty coming off the midfoot sprain. Still questionable for that Eastern Illinois opener on September 4th. That's how we start hour number 2 here on the early game. Tim Hill, Bill Gunter, Patrick Perret, and Jen Jensen all with you. Hope your Wednesday morning is off to a great start. Bill, I know you're coming off doing Heath's show yesterday, so you're doing that whole close and open shift. So it seems a little bit like Groundhog Day, I'm guessing, to a certain degree, but you got some other people to talk to, and it's not just you and Captain Dave. Did you do Stump the Dave last night at all?
We didn't do Stump the Dave.
You can't run that one in the ground. You got to make that a special routine. I'm glad that you guys are doing that there. The news of yesterday for those of us in Columbia, South Carolina especially, was basically that there wasn't much news coming out of the Shane Beamer press conference. First weekly press conference is going to be the routine on Tuesdays at 1:15 is how Shane Beamer is going to do it for about a half hour or so. We also heard from Zeb Nolan, the graduate assistant turned quarterback, and in the mix to be the starting quarterback for the Gamecocks in the first game. Been through some of his stats this morning, some of his experience playing at Iowa State, and most recently at North Dakota State. Looks like it's he versus Jason Brown, the FCS transfer from St. Francis, as the possibilities, the likely possibilities to go if Luke Doty isn't healthy enough to go. But that's why Shane Beamer says he's not coming out and naming any starting quarterback, because Doty just got his cast off on Sunday in the boot now, and he wants to see how healthy he can be. I think you can argue one way or another that there is not necessarily an ideal situation from a quarterback, a starting quarterback, and maybe a quarterback rotation deal at this point. From my standpoint, guys, it's Luke Doty gets the start. He plays the first few series. The offense absolutely rolls. You get him out of the game. You get whoever it is in their second. Jason Brown, I would say, would probably be the ideal one. And then Zeb Nolan or Colton Gauthier after that. You get all four quarterbacks in there, maybe even a walk-on and Connor Jordan. Everybody plays well. The offense absolutely steamrolls an inferior FCS opponent in a program that's only won one game each of the last 2 seasons. And it is full steam ahead to East Carolina with plenty of confidence and a good idea of where your offense is and what it does well moving forward. The tricky part about this, Bill, I know you talked about it where you don't think it's going to matter who plays quarterback for the Gamecocks. I don't think anybody who looks at football is saying that it is a critical decision about who starts at starting quarterback for Gamecock football versus Eastern Illinois for that game. My standpoint, it's critical for the program at this point just to move forward into the East Carolina game in a proper way, because you got to win that game if you're Shane Beamer. You got to win both the first 2 games. And to me, you want to win them impressively to get that positive momentum that this program desperately needs after a couple of 8-loss seasons. That's where I'm at as we start hour 2 this week.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Look, there is an element that, what are we, 10 days? Is that right? 9 days? Where are we at on the official countdown, guys? Does the day count?
I think it's 10 today. 10 days.
10? Okay. That 10 days from now, that there is it's a, just what is it, a huge stress relief, just to get back out. The 7 o'clock game, tailgate, be around your friends, your buddies, to go into what we assume will be a full capacity stadium, to see a night game at Williams-Brice Stadium, to see 2001, to see a new energy, everything that we haven't really, quite frankly, Tim. When's the last time you went to South Carolina, to a South Carolina football game with just a level of excitement? Because coming off of the North Carolina loss in 2019, I don't think people went there all that fired up for the Charleston Southern game. And then the following week, people were fired up. It was a good atmosphere. I'm not saying it wasn't against Alabama, but it was number 1 Alabama, and people were kind of down. When do you think the last time? Now I'm going back into when do you think that people went to a South Carolina game with this much excitement? You want to go back for a second?
That was asked on the live stream, and I think we decided there were a lot of situations where people. First of all, Tennessee last year, people were very excited.
But it wasn't a packed house. This was okay. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that's
I would say Charleston Southern people were this excited because it was Ryan Helinski. Ryan Helinski was hyped like as much as anyone that I could remember since I've at least been around here.
That's true.
He was talking about for years in advance, and the first sighting of Ryan Helinski was a big deal.
I think it was. I don't know if it was to this level, and also Patrick, and this, being a student and everything, being a day game like that, it does steal a little bit of the thunder, right?
Well, in my mind, the thunder is being stolen by this being a night game this Saturday, or this next Saturday, because
but you're being ridiculous because of the Clemson Georgia game and the whole thing.
Yes,
you are being.
Is that ridiculous?
Yes.
Is that ridiculous?
Yes, you
absolutely.
Are. Yes.
In the era of DVRs and an easy way to watch things.
The era of DVRs was like 5 years ago.
I was actually going to say, so we're past you can watch the game in the stadium.
We're actually in the era of you can't watch a DVR because you'll already know what happened.
Yeah.
There's no way to not go not know what happened. Like we used to do that when I had soccer games or whatever. It's just not listen to the radio on the way back and not speak to anyone and then go back and watch the game. You think you're going to be inside Williams-Brice Stadium or watching the South Carolina game on TV and not know what happened in the Clemson-Georgia game and then just go back and watch it without a clue?
Right there was the main difference between 25-year-old Patrick and 43-year-old me. With 3 kids, I can be in a dark cave for weeks. Right
No,
now,
but you'll be watching the
zero
South Carolina
intel.
game. They're going to be doing like live,
I get
whatever
it.
they call it, live looks or whatever, and showing the highlights.
No, I don't think we'll see any highlights in the stadium.
I'm going back through. Look again. I said this. Oh, I know what I was talking about, and maybe we'll talk about it some on Friday. Yesterday, at the very end of the show, I was just getting into this weekend schedule, and just in Illinois and Nebraska, and for those two, Brett Bielema making his debut as the Illinois coach, Scott Frost, who now there's rumors that it was people inside the athletic department in Nebraska that turned them in, and the hot seat that he's on. Just where that stands, but Scott Frost was a 3-5 last year. But I kind of said, look, I'm still one of those people that kind of throws that kind of stuff all of last year out the books. It was just a weird year. But it is. So when I say I throw last year out the window, because as you mentioned, Patrick, yeah, there was a level of excitement for the Tennessee game. Now again, it was muted because tailgating was limited. You didn't have the full capacity. It was obviously just everything going on. This is a little bit different 10 days from now, and the excitement to get into that stadium and to really see a new era where everything so far has been positive, ultra positive. Now's when it changes a little bit, because I said back in December, Shane Beamer will win the first 9 months. It's not going to be that difficult. He's an ultra positive guy. It's going to be a great honeymoon period. He's going to handle press conferences well. Really hard to mess up spring practice. Preseason camp, hard to mess that up unless there's just this big rash of injuries. There hasn't necessarily been that. They should win this one, and then it really the honeymoon period really kind of comes to a close when we see how the East Carolina game goes. But again, the excitement just to go back in and see this game on Saturday night, or 2 Saturdays, I guess, however you want to label it, and what it looks like. And I do think there is an element that whoever the quarterback is doesn't have to come out and throw for 250 yards. But I guess we do all agree, whomever it is needs to look confident, right? Like even though I know that they're not going to be the starter for the remainder of the year as long as Luke Doty's healthy, you'd like to see a guy go out and hit a few passes to Kerryon Joyner, catch one and run with it a little bit. You'd like to see Marshawn Lloyd catch one out of the backfield. Juju McDowell maybe do something out of the backfield, something like that, where you see something in a passing game where it just makes you go, okay, if something happens, the guy behind Luke Doty, maybe we got a chance.
I feel like it's more important for the receivers, because you don't have any receivers that have produced in a big way on this stage at all. So at least one of your top 3 guys, maybe get somebody a 100-yard game. Like, can we have a 100-yard game from a receiver? That would be nice.
Yeah, outside of Nick Muse as well. No other really proven offensive weapon that is practicing right now. Kevin Harris, obviously the other one at running back, who went over 1,000 yards last year for the first time since 2013 in a Gamecock uniform, but not practicing yet. Interesting update from Shane Beamer on Kevin Harris and his health. We'll let you hear that next when we come back. Also, plenty more discussion about the starting quarterback and that not being named. Other news around college football yesterday, the alliance thing we will get back into and still try to figure out what exactly the Big Ten, the Pac-12, and the ACC are doing there. What did they exactly announce? I'm still very fuzzy on. Maybe you guys can help me out. You hit us up at 803-404-6100. You can call or text. Check out the live video stream as well, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter live video going this morning. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game. The Game is on the air, online, on your phone or tablet. Alexa, Siri.
Oh, the old quick turnaround show. Wrapping it up with Captain Dave last night, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Ordered some pizza, then getting right back up and ready to go this morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Totally different producer than Jen Jensen. So I needed a great night of sleep. I really needed to wake up and be ready to go to deal with a completely different producer. Jen Jensen. So I turned to my number one go-to, a Sleep Number bed. I know I needed that great night of sleep. Sleep Number bed, that's exactly what you get. I put that Sleep Number setting on 55 last night. Now I am ready to go and deal with producer Jen Jensen each and every day. Right now, you can do the same. Discover the Sleep Number 360 smart bed during the biggest sale of the year. All beds are on sale. Save 50% on a new limited edition smart bed plus special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. For a limited time only at Sleep Number stores. 2 to choose from. One in Irma and Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings. The other in Columbia. 2 Notch Road across from Sand Hills Mall. You can visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. Be like me. Get a great night of sleep. Deal with producer Jen Jensen. And you'll be happy, rested, refreshed, and ready to go. Make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like. Oh, back to the silhouette. Just me, a shadow, a cup of coffee. Oh, and there's Tim Hill and Jen Jensen. And all right, now it's not just me.
Reaction time slow way down when you're high. You not only put yourself in danger, but everyone around you. Stop yourself. Not get behind the wheel.
Did you guys see this terrible Dutch Fork news?
Oh,
Yes,
awful.
I saw that this
Awful.
morning.
You guys haven't heard there was a football player who collapsed and died at practice.
Yep.
Haven't released his name.
Just reading our newest text in from Rich. He doesn't like men's Major League Baseball. He doesn't like NBA. He didn't like any soccer. And now he doesn't like college football discussion about quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very happy guy.
Do you like NASCAR?
Maybe he does. Maybe he does. Did you win this weekend?
I did, thank you.
I couldn't remember if that was a dream because that feels more like a dream than something that would actually happen. But
No,
and
it's
what
all-
Larson finished third.
He did.
Okay, good to
Yep.
know that I actually lived whatever I saw, and it wasn't a dream.
Yeah, it was a good day. It was actually a pretty good race, and down at the end for sure. Blaney raced the wheels off that car.
I feel like Mike. I feel like the other side, the cowlick. I feel more like a darkened out version right now with my cowlick sticking up of the White Walker from Game of Thrones. I feel like I've got a little horn or whatever he had right there. Very.
I agree with the banker on Deal or No Deal.
Yeah, I mean, I can
Don't
see
know
that,
about
but
Game of Thrones.
right there, the little White Walker. Like I feel like my ears are kind of poking out a little bit. Oh,
Mr.
Fansville! I just saw a Fansville commercial.
Oh yeah,
A new one or a rerun?
Uyangalale on there.
Let me see. I just happened to look up the very end. Oh, yep, this is a brand new one. There's some guys stealing a goalpost. All right, let's watch it in full here.
I think the answer we came up with is 5 or 6. Actually, I think 5 might have been the average.
No DJ.
Want to come back with I'll do that Dutch Fork news, and then we'll go to the Shane Beamer sound relatively quickly. Number 3.
Number 3. Okay.
Morning, Alan. What are you guys down with Mike's question? How many QBs do teams normally have? What we got 4 to 8, I think, when we went through a few programs the other morning.
Yeah. Didn't Beamer say at Oklahoma they had 7?
I think 6 last year.
6.
Maybe
Tim?
7 last year and 6 this year. I forget what it was.
Tim, I'm asked to remind you to give Eli a shout out on the way to Miss Yeoman's class today.
Thanks for reminding me.
That's what I'm here for. Jokes, coffee, donut discussion, and to remind you of.
I believe it was from 7:25 to 7:35.
You're right. He's in the car listening between 7:25 and 7:35.
All right.
He should be listening for all 3 hours.
What are we listening? Is this the
Going
whole
to
time?
school.
Yeah.
All right. Well, he should be listening for an hour and a half. He should be waking up at 6.
In training, setting
Yes.
his alarm.
Right.
The open 6:05.
My son just turned 21 2 days ago. I don't have him trained yet to like get up to an alarm. I don't think.
Is it blasphemous to say that the Fansville group has grown on me?
Is not.
I feel like that's a take that would draw a lot of anger that the Fansville
And
people
Megan.
have grown on me.
Bill ultra excited at a Fansville commercial that just popped on his TV, and then rewinding it and breaking it down, and we did not see the appearance of Clemson quarterback DJ Wheeler on the way on there. And no, what's wrong with Fansville? Are you saying that you don't think most people like it, and you feel bad for liking it, Bill? Is that what you're saying?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, it followed on the heels of the great Larry Culpepper, and Culpepper was. I mean, he was a football staple there for a little while. But I've
He invented the college football playoff.
He did. I've come to like. I don't think it's a popular opinion, but I think I'm on board with Fansville with the Fansville commercials. And it looks. I wish they would actually do a little bit more of them. I feel like they could actually, if they would pay those actors a little bit more and get maybe an every other week commercial just to update it.
More variety.
I mean, you could really kind of make it a little bit more entertaining. I think you could do something. The SEC shorts. Did you guys see the new SEC shorts?
The Castaway one?
Yeah.
The Oklahoma and Texas Castaway one. It's pretty good. Worth watching for sure.
Crackle. They're going to get Crackle.
The Tom Hanks character of Castaway was the Big 12, represented by the Big 12, and then the volleyballs where Oklahoma and Texas just floated away.
Football shit.
Worth watching for sure. Do need to pass along some sad news that you might have already heard, or if you weren't up late last night, I think the announcement came after 11 p.m. that unfortunately a Dutch Fork High School football player collapsed at practice and died yesterday. So thoughts and prayers going out. I just saw Shane Beamer and Dutch Fork High School alum, assistant Gamecock coach Eric Kimry putting out on Twitter their thoughts and prayers for the Dutch Fork High School community. A name not released out of respect to the family, and details not released as well, but just tragic news, obviously, for the Dutch Fork High School community in so many ways. So I would like to echo those thoughts and prayers for that family as well. Before the break, promised you that we'd give you a Shane Beamer injury update for Kevin Harris. Here it is from yesterday's press conference from Gamecock head coach Shane Beamer.
Yeah, I mean, we got a pretty good idea of when he is going to be ready, and we're optimistic that it's next week. And if it's not he's just not able to go next week, and he's not 100%, then we surely expect him to be ready the following week. He was in full uniform today. He's running around. He's doing everything. It's just he met again last week with the doctors that did the procedure on him last week, and it was a great response, great feedback, and we're continuing to talk to Kevin and his mom and all the medical personnel. And we're not discouraged or anything with where he is right now. We knew when he had the procedure this summer that it would be right around the first game that he'd be ready to go, and that hasn't changed. He's got a great spirit about himself, and we know he's going to be carrying the football for us a lot this year, and a lot starting in September. And whether that's September 4th or September 11th remains to be seen, but he's not far off at all, and there's no concern or panic or anything from our standpoint.
What's your take, Bill, after hearing Shane Beamer update the Kevin Harris injury situation after the offseason back procedure and still not practicing 100%?
I mean, there's one spot it just feels like South Carolina, that even losing 1,000-yard rusher for a few weeks and they're okay is at running back. And, Zaquandre White, certainly the way he ran in the spring and has drawn some strong reviews here in the preseason. Again, Juju McDowell is a guy that seems to be talked about by a lot of the players as being dynamic. Marshawn Lloyd is a guy that everybody's excited to see. I was pleased with Rashad Amos at the end of last year when we got a chance to watch him. So, to me, this is one. I don't know the severity of the procedure. We still really don't know what the procedure was. Does he need to play against, Kevin Harris and Nick Muse? I think would be the two guys that you honestly look at and be like, do they really need to play against Eastern Illinois? If you didn't see those guys at all, if Kevin Harris, that goes back to your point. If Kevin Harris took like the opening snap and had a run for 3 yards and his stat line on the night's 1 carry, 3 yards, yeah, he's out. Like just that's the one guy I think you asked earlier, just to show that he's healthy, that hey, he can carry the football and get hit. Yeah, that might be the only guy.
But I'd much rather see Luke Doty hand the ball off than see Kevin Harris take 1 carry, because no matter what, he's getting tackled.
Yeah, and,
Unless,
well,
I mean, I don't want to see. I don't care about seeing Kevin
Patrick. You say no matter what, he could. He's shown before he can break through the line and go 75 yards. I mean, there are a couple options on that play where he might not get tackled. So all
right, but you can guarantee that Luke Doty's not getting contacted.
Right.
You can't get.
To
Kevin
your
Harris
point,
is going to take contact.
To your point too, Travis Etienne, 1 catch and 1 carry the other night in the Jags Saints game, and now he's out for the season. Yeah. It was confirmed yesterday, the Liz Frank injury, same kind of deal that sidelined Jake Bentley a couple of years ago. Travis Etienne will not play for Jacksonville Jaguars in his rookie season in the NFL. I would wonder what our favorite youngest listener, Eli, from Mrs. Yellman's class has to say about Kevin Harris. But since he's not waiting on the Love Chevy phone lines, and we'll go to the other end of the spectrum, our favorite 87-year-old caller, Gamecock Larry, weighing in this morning. Larry, optimistic, feeling good? Where are you at right now with Gamecock football, sir?
I tell you what, feeling good. Lordy, 10
10 days.
Days before kickoff, BKO, Gamecocks will be ready to go. 5 quarterbacks on the bench. 4 will play and 1 will stay. Those will be ready for game number 2 against ECU. That's it. You're not going to see Doty in the first game. Just you can go ahead and talk about him all you want. But I would love to see him in the first game, but I do not think he'll play in the first game. We got 4 quarterbacks. And I think 2 will play the first half, and the other 2 to play the second half.
Okay.
In the first game.
Gamecock Larry, did you?
And then,
no way, you didn't come up with that rhyme off the top of your head, did you? Did you write that down in your notebook to start this morning?
Yes, sir. I was sitting here and I got that just popped in my. I said, I don't know. I just started writing. That's what I wrote.
Beautiful.
Couple of rhyming couplets.
Yeah, why not?
Yes, sir. I used to write poetry a long time ago.
Whoa.
That's before you guys. That's before you guys' days. You
got an old notebook? You have a poetry notebook somewhere in that house?
I got a Gamecock notebook in my hand, but I got 4 notebooks down here in my drawer where I've been keeping. I keep my financial status. I call the bank every morning, want to see if anybody messes my account, and I write it down every day. And I can tell you the penny I got and the penny I got going out and the pennies I got coming in. Nobody going to get my money. But I want to say one thing now. I mean, you can cut me off if you want to.
Oh, boy. We would never.
But this old Gamecock, this old Korean Vietnam veteran is hurting. That's about all I got to say. Go Gamecock.
Whoa. You can't go out on that.
Okay, what?
What do you mean hurt? How can we help you, Gamecock Larry? What can we do? What can all of us do to
Boy,
help you?
I'll tell you what we can do. No, you won't let me say it on the radio, but I'm gonna try to say it. We ought to go over there and push them Taliban back where they come from, and we can do it if they give us away. I know it.
But I want to go back to the
I know you're
poetry.
gonna cut me off, but I tell you, it makes me cry. It makes my blood boil. I wish
All right.
Sleepy Joe.
I think we got it. Thank you, Gamecock.
Yeah,
That
I'm
was
with him.
the
I'm with
most-
him.
He's the most well-rounded person in the world, isn't he? A former,
Renaissance man.
used to write poetry, now is on top of his finances. Now just coming out with some new poetry for Gamecock football, schooling us up with his political takes.
I was not ready for that.
I thought there might be something we could do. Maybe his buddy Root Hog could bring him a donut or fluff a pillow for him and help him out there. You know, he's talking about bringing oxygen over. Maybe we could have helped him physically. I didn't realize it was a political take he was going to give us there.
I thought he was gonna be upset with me because I kind of made fun of him yesterday when he called in and he starts with, "I'm not making a prediction," and then he made two of them. One was that they were gonna go 8-4, and the second one was 12-0.
Of course. Wow. My new goal in life is to get Gamecock Larry to read some original Gamecock Larry poems.
Seriously.
On the show.
And also for all of you out there who now thought you could sucker your way in with a COVID vaccine take or political opinion by just saying, "I'm in a bad mood today. I feel bad." And we would be like, "What's wrong? Tell us." We're not falling for that. Fool us once. Not our fault. We're not falling for that one again. So if that was your plan to call in and say, "I feel bad today. I'm in a bad mood," we have to go, "Oh no, what's wrong?" We're not falling for that one again, right?
No doubt. Second goal on this show now moving forward is to track down the bank employee who answers the phone every morning on Gamecock
Truth.
Larry's call. I feel like we might have a lot in common. I couldn't imagine a better way to wrap up the first half of the show. More from Shane Beamer, yesterday's press conference. When we come back, it's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
This is South Carolina head women's basketball coach Dawn Staley, and you're listening to the home Gamecocks, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
That was something.
That was something because everything built up to potentially be a sports take until he dropped the word Taliban. I thought it was going to be like, we need to go in there and get those Clemson fans out of or something, and then it just
Again, I thought he was going to yell at one of us, or like, you know, that we hurt his feelings, or that Jay and Tommy didn't take his phone call, or
I thought he was going to throw his daughter, Tanya, or Gamecock Barry, his nephew, under the bus, yell at him for not taking him to the store or something. Whew. Out of liver pudding. I didn't know where he was going there, but I didn't see that one. That was amazing.
yeah, I mean that completely washed over him calling the bank every morning and
Poetry.
halfway through, I was kind of not listening to the start, and it was about halfway through. I was like, "Wait, I think that word just rhymed with another word. Wait, he did it again. There's a third rhyming. This is
Glad it
clearly a
wasn't
poem."
just- Wow. I mean, we should probably just replay that the rest of the morning and call it a morning. Agreed, Logan. Agreed.
I do feel like that bank. That poor. So like everyone, they've got his number on caller ID, and it's like, all right, Jim, you didn't redo the counter yesterday, so you got to answer the phone call this morning.
Oh man, Richard K gets the worst text of all time. How did you not see that coming? It's not political, it's reality. Surely I should have obviously seen that coming, Richard K.
Yeah. we've taken Gamecock Larry calls in midst of a lot of serious things going on in the world, and he's never discussed anything but sports.
Jan, second worst text of the morning. You didn't hear the shout out to Eli? Smoothly worked into the intro for Gamecock Larry. How dare you, sir?
Just had a caller said that a friend of his works at the bank and where Larry calls.
Yes.
And he said that he typically will call. It's a daily thing.
Right.
And it's it might be to chat about the bank account, but it's more of letting him know how his dogs are.
Of course.
It's a full conversation. He said it could go 30 minutes.
Absolutely.
An update
I'm
on
surprised.
life.
I'm surprised. I thought you were going to say it could go 3 hours, which is the time between our show and the 12 to 1 show.
Oh, there you go. See, perfect.
10 to 1. I mean, 9 to noon. Watch out.
It sounds like what was the Friends episode? I think it was Ross when he got fired or whatever, and he had done about 1 million things before 10 a.m. and Joey's like, dude, you gotta pace yourself. And he calls Chandler and he does the prank phone call and Ross is like, that's awesome. What do we do next? And he's like, no, that's Monday.
Right. Yeah, he said that it's occasionally an in-person visit, and then he'll go to office. And all that. But,
Again, these texts just prove to me that we will always have complainers. John, you're just proving to me that we're always going to get complainers on this show. How about be thankful for that radio gold that he just gave us? I agree. Anthony said it was up there with Marty Smith's interview.
well, and we don't want to set a precedent. Like, even though we love Gamecock Larry, we don't want to set the precedence of, letting the political conversation and stuff get in, because that's not what we do. So
Of course not.
But
John, you got to go the other way. What if he was dropping the opposite political opinion that you agree with? You're good with just keep going?
there you go.
Well,
Because that was George Costanza leaving on the high note in the room, right? We had to get him, usher him on out. Go right ahead, man. Costanza.
Yeah, because he was gonna go. I mean, like he said, he set us up for that because he said it twice.
That he was hurting?
Yeah, he said twice we weren't gonna let him finish. He set us up for that.
That we'd cut him off. I knew that.
I thought he was. I mean, I just thought he was saying, "You guys always cut me off at the end of the hour or whatever, so you're not gonna probably let me finish."
Whew.
I wasn't thinking that.
Let's go 5, please.
You got to have a great leader. You got to be tough. And then nowadays you got to have great athleticism that you play. Those would be the things that, I'm looking for, but toughness, leadership, athleticism, but I don't care what you have. If you're not accurate, you're going to have a hard time being successful as a quarterback. That's just how I look at it. And then you got to protect the football, and whoever goes out there for the first snap on September 4th is going to be the person that does a lot of well, but they've got to protect the football. And frankly, we've had way too many turnovers in the month of August of not always making great decisions with the football. And they've got all those quarterbacks, Zeb, Colton, Connor, Luke, Jason, the whole crew. They know that they've got to be better from a ball security, good decisions, and let's just line up and make the defense keep defending us.
Gamecock head coach Shane Beamer, yesterday's press conference, talking about the attributes he's looking for from a starting quarterback, which is still yet to be named for game number 1. Luke Doty officially questionable with a midfoot sprain. Zeb Nolan, Jason Brown transfers into the Gamecock football program. Seem like the most likely guys to get the call if Doty can't go. Doty out of a cast on Sunday into a boot, and the rest of this week, Beamer mentioning, will go a long way to determining who his starting quarterback will be for game number 1 against Eastern Illinois on September 4th, which we all agree is not the main concern. It is, all right, what happens with the quarterback position moving forward for Gamecock football? Because Luke Doty's only played 2.5 games as a freshman last year. These other guys were playing FCS football most recently, and will be really interesting to see. Not necessarily what happens in game number 1, but game number 2, I think is easy to overlook from the outside looking in at East Carolina, where Carolina will be favored to win the game, the Gamecocks that is. But East Carolina has that one circled, and Mike Houston is a guy who coached the Citadel to a win at Williams-Brice Stadium against the Gamecocks back in the day, and certainly would be a massive win for East Carolina and Mike Houston for what they're trying to do. Getting ahead of ourselves a little bit there and still trying to recover from the brilliance that was Gamecock Larry. Good news, Jen off the air has taken a call from was it a coworker or a friend from the bank where Gamecock Larry calls?
Yeah, a friend of a coworker or a friend of someone who works at the bank.
Okay.
And he is definitely the talk of the bank.
Confirmation there that Gamecock Larry does make those calls daily, and Bill speculates that it happens during the Dan Patrick Show, 9 to noon hours, when he's not a constant contributor, a consistent contributor here on 107.5 The Game. I'm going to be working my best to actually get that person that most often talks to Gamecock Larry from the bank on this show, so we can kind of compare some notes. A bunch of you weighing in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line about what you just heard. Teddy D, just when I think I can't gain any more love and respect for Gamecock Larry, he makes a call like that. I freaking love Gamecock Larry. I can't wait to see him in the 5 Points fountain soon. Clemson Sean, Larry argues with the bank teller about dividend bonuses. I don't want no free money. This is America, and I work for everything I have. Teller hangs up until tomorrow.
Love that.
Trey says, just wait for the Monday after the first loss. It will be assumed that we're all in a bad mood, and then we can all let our polarizing opinions fly. Trey says in all caps, thankfully there's a vaccine for that bad mood, and his name is Shane Beamer. You guys are going up to the level that Gamecock Larry took the show, and I'm glad for that.
Well, and I do want you to know he is getting his daughter's email address for me.
Okay.
So that we can send a link.
Excellent.
So he can join the live stream on occasion. Actually, the live screen.
Right.
But I was trying to explain it's a live stream, but we're getting there.
Okay. Also, Gamecock Larry says he's going to do his best to get out to Charwood, which he has been out there before. Charwood is professional enough to have made Gamecock Larry his own welcome sign, basically. And we're going to be out there on Friday, 14th anniversary, 107.5 The Game golf tournament presented by Integrated Media. Love for you to be out there as well. Just a couple of spots left. Give them a call at 803-755-2000 right now. If you would like to register, you can do it either as an individual or I think maybe 1 or 2 team spots left for that 4-person Captain's Choice event this Friday, 10 a.m., Charwood Golf Club, celebrating 14th anniversary of the station. Also, just that football season is back, and going to get all kinds of good stuff out there for you. Give away a trip to Kiowa for the winning team. One example of that. Whew, Bill, where do we go from here after Gamecock Larry
Breaking news
has hijacked the show? Oh, great!
Some news
What do you got?
news right up Patrick's alley. Patrick, big trade in the NFL. You see what just happened here? Is it a big
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a big trade. He kind of stinks now, but Sonny Michel was traded to the Rams.
Really should pay better attention then, I guess. I thought this was solid trade. Rams picking up Sony Michel and a couple picks going over to the Patriots. So not that big a deal.
No, not really. I mean, he'll play a good bit, but Darrell Henderson will be the starter there. He just sprained his thumb. Cam Akers tore his Achilles in camp a couple weeks ago, and he was expected to have a really big year for the Rams. He was pretty darn good at the end of his rookie year, especially towards the end of the season for the Rams. So the Patriots, Damian Harris has taken over that starting job, the Alabama 4-year Alabama player. I think one of the leading rushers in Alabama history. I think he's one of the only guys to have, I think it was maybe 3,000-yard seasons for Alabama. He started off slow in his NFL career, but has become really, really good recently. So yeah, the Patriots just kind of had a surplus at the running back position. And do you see the picks right there? Is like a 5th and a 6th conditional something? I think they're conditional. Yeah. So it's something. It'll bolster the Rams running back room a little bit, but I was actually hoping that the Rams would have just stuck with what they had, and Josh Funk, the rookie from Maryland, would have ended up playing for them. But
I do want to get into next hour. Did either of you guys take time to watch? Did you spend a little time watching the Saints and Jacksonville on Monday night? Did you catch some of that, especially the first half? I watched
absolutely
when they took Trevor out at halftime. I got up, but I want to get into that a little bit because I thought there were some interesting comments made by Louis Riddick, Steve Levy, and Brian Greasy regarding Trevor Lawrence and his development, and if Jacksonville has a quarterback whisperer that can help Trevor Lawrence. I thought Trevor Lawrence did some good things, but I want to get into that because it's kind of interesting. And they brought up the point: do you throw Trevor to the wolves early on, or do you let Gardner Minshew take some of those losses and some of those beatings and kind of shield Trevor Lawrence from what Jacksonville is right now? That franchise looks that looks not good.
Yeah, there was
very bad.
A moment, a play late in the first half there that I think has signaled a transition in my football fandom as well. We'll do that when we come back. Dramatic conclusion at hour number 2. Not quite as dramatic as Gamecock Larry's call, but we'll do our best. I agree with Alan. He says that call by Gamecock Larry was a mic drop. The last hour of the show won't be close. No doubt. Maybe we'll just replay that call all third hour coming. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game. The game is on. Everywhere. On the air. Online. On your phone or tablet. On the app. Alexa. In the shower with you.
I think I might have to tell my kids about Gamecock Larry this morning. Maybe I'll just encourage some poetry. Speaking of my kids, it reminds me of the situation we're dealing with around the house. They're doing virtual school, which makes it that much messier and that much more fun. Fortunately, we've got some professional help to help keep our house looking its best. I recommend you get the same guys out to your house. Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Done a great job cleaning my carpets. They've also cleaned an area rug for me, freshened up the tiles in the kitchen and bathroom. What Zero Res really does is give your house the new, fresh feel and look. And especially this time of year, the back to school time, my house could use that. I'm guessing yours might as well. Our carpets have stayed cleaner longer with Zero Res, no leftover soapy residue. Also, what sets Zero Res apart the most in my mind is their specific powered water cleaning system. You can go to ZeroResColumbia.com to see all the details, but what's most important to me and my family, no harsh chemicals involved in the process, nothing for me to worry about with the 8, 6-year-old and 1-year-old rolling around on the carpets all the time at my house. And right now, take advantage of their summer sale. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119, plus a free hallway when you mention me, Tim Hill. 803-262-4020 is the number. ZeroResColumbia.com, again, is the website. That's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center,
How was it getting back into the morning routine, Bill, as you have your coffee in front of the sunrise?
Do what now?
How is it getting back into the morning routine this morning?
Oh yeah. Well, I slept good the last few days, so kind of feeling peppy this morning. Helps that there's some football around the corner.
Man, just the bad texts in this morning continue. Lottie, just ridiculous.
He's trolling.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah, we're back into the rhythm a little bit.
Maybe that's the sign that Gamecock fans are feeling a lot better this year, that they can troll Clemson fans even.
Well, and has Trevor Lawrence ever really had to work hard? Like, has he ever played for a team that wasn't really good to where he's had to work harder?
No. It's one way to put it. Or has that team been really, really good a lot because of him?
I like my spin better, but you know.
I mean, Clemson wasn't just good because of him.
No doubt. But are you wearing your orange while saying this, Jim?
It's more of a I like to think of it as more of a coral color.
Go ahead.
I would say it's not really a defined orange. It's more of a coral.
Mm-hmm.
But see, I'm a Bears fan, so I still have to be allowed to wear orange and blue.
Okay, that's fair. I would say 0% chance to Logan's question here. What about you guys?
Mm,
You agree? 0?
0.
Yeah, 0. 6 o'clock. Let's go back to the schedule here.
6 o'clock.
I believe at 6 o'clock is the Indiana State. You can watch that. Let's see. Does it give me?
You don't have ESPN Plus, do you? I was
Yeah.
going to call you out on the air. You do?
Yeah.
The $5 a month, whatever it is.
I have somebody log in. Yes.
Bill, give me a yes or no. Is South Carolina better than these teams? App State.
I don't know. That's a great App State. I don't know.
Marshall.
Yes.
Tulane.
Yes.
UCF.
Can you?
I don't know. Who's the quarterback down there now? Dylan Gabriel.
It's what's his last name?
Is it
He's number
Gabriel?
11. He.
You know what? I'd probably take.
Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
Wait, I think it is. Oh, sorry. What game are you guys playing?
South
Is
Carolina,
South Carolina
and Central
better than the
Florida.
team I
Who's
named?
better? I'm going on with South Carolina be favored on their home field. I think Central Florida would probably be favored against South Carolina in week 1 on Central Florida's home field. Yeah.
about 15 seconds.
Houston.
I don't know anything about Houston. I'd take South Carolina.
Memphis.
Yeah, I need to read my Lindy's on these teams. I haven't because South Carolina didn't play them. I think I know what you're talking about. I think I heard you the other day. Talking about South Carolina's the 5th or 6th toughest game for East Carolina.
No, like it's arguable whether or not they're a top 5 opponent.
Yep. That's right.
Waddy on the live stream making me shake my head. If Trevor Lawrence were coached up well in college, they wouldn't need a quarterback whisperer in Jacksonville. Come on. Let's not take the show to that level.
Hey, Clemson had more first-round picks than the Jaguars.
So what are you saying? That there's so much talent around Trevor Lawrence that
Never had to work for anything. Never had to face adversity. No, I'm just kidding. I disagree with him too.
Bill, what did you want to get into specifically? There was a play there towards the end of the first half in that Saints-Jags game from the other night that you wanted to talk about a little bit more, where Trevor Lawrence tucks and runs, and there were 4 guys from the Saints converging on him, and I felt like the oldest, like mom clutching her pearls, watching that thing. I was like, oh no, this is not good. What is going on here? Fortunately, he got down and was fine, and there was no problem. But I was just doing the old risk-reward analysis, I think, in my head, and say, why is he even putting himself in this situation? Why would Urban Meyer put himself in this situation? This just seems like it can't end well. Fortunately, it didn't end fine, and I'm just a big wuss and might just be getting old, and I don't know what's happening to me. Your point with Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence and some of the comments made on the broadcast was?
Well, and again, a lot of discussion about rookie quarterbacks in the NFL. I messed this stat up yesterday. Did you guys hear, and maybe I misheard it, but they were talking about the first rookie. I think it might have been the first rookie quarterback to play all 16 games, but to win the opener. And the answer was David.
Yeah, 2002.
Houston,
Okay,
Texas.
that's inaccurate. Matt Ryan played all 16 games and won his opener.
Matt Ryan wasn't the number 1 overall pick.
Oh, was it? Oh, the number 1 overall pick? Okay.
Yeah.
There was a lot to it, and I heard it, and then I tried to say it
And
on
David
TV.
Carr is older than Matt Ryan, too.
Yeah, that was the point. But
No, the point was
I think we'll get it. I'd like to get into this a little NFL discussion the next hour, just because as we go into another weekend of preseason games and stuff. But the Trevor Lawrence situation, I think, down in Jacksonville is interesting. And also, 2 preseason games in, Patrick, Tim, you both had a chance to really watch Jacksonville on Monday night. Urban Meyer seems lost, right?
Oh, yeah.
Urban Meyer seems very. That's another part of
Wait a
it.
second. You didn't stick around for the fourth quarter where they score 18 unanswered?
No.
No one cared.
because they're playing hard
I
for
mean,
Urban. They love their coach.
I did have New Orleans straight up minus 215, I think.
You would. 803-404-6100 if you would like to join in hour number 3. We're just going to try to get anywhere close where Gamecock Larry is taking this ship.
This is Todd Ellis, and you're listening to the Home
All right, Billy, you want to cut that?
Jen, you want to cut this full real quick, or you got something to do? This is a 30.
Oh, sorry. Yep, that's
See ya,
right.
suckers. I can help with that, Trey. Shi Smith is the highest graded Panthers player so far.
Terrace Marshall. Gonna have a big rookie year.
I'm sorry? Terrace
Marshall. Yeah. I don't know if Shi Smith's gonna do a whole lot. I think Terrace Marshall's gonna catch a lot of balls though.
I think Matt Rule is a smart coach, and he can maximize Sam Darnold. The question is, what is that ceiling? And he certainly hadn't shown anything in the preseason that says he's going to be a different guy.
It's just
that's the problem there, right? But then you go, right? Safety blanket, best back in the league. Well, Trey, why are you asking Patrick to give optimism, by the way? I think he is in a grouchy mood this morning. He hasn't said
I'm not in a grouchy mood. I'm not a Panthers fan, and I think the Panthers completely botched this offseason. You know what I honestly think is going to happen with the Panthers? Sam Darnold's going to be just okay. Justin Fields is going to be really good. They're all in Denver and Carolina. They're going to be looking at each other like, what were we doing? Why did we just draft cornerbacks when we could have drafted Justin Fields and had the future of our franchise? And then Joe Brady's going to be coaching the Bengals next year.
Okay, let me try to help you out, Trey.
That's what I actually think is going to happen. But the Panthers aren't bad. They're not terrible. They're just not going to be – they're not going to be competing for Super Bowls with Sam Darnold. A lot of young pieces on the defense. Brian Burns, dark horse defensive MVP candidate. I would throw a couple shackles on him.
That Shekels?
Shekels? Bengals? Jaguars?
I think the shackles are chains.
Not to me.
All right, let's go back to this FCS schedule for the weekend. So, yes, Eastern Illinois is at Indiana State, ESPN Plus, 6 o'clock.
Don't waste your time. First game I'm watching is App State. I guess I'll watch some Nebraska, Illinois, I guess. But first game I'll watch with more of an analytical eye is the App State East Carolina Thursday nighter, September.
Yeah, but I think that's because it's a 6 o'clock game. It's going to beat you to the punch there for Ohio State. CJ Stroud won the. Didn't Ohio State play that Thursday night? Am I wrong on that?
No, you're right.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm on the FCF schedule. Let me go back to the FBS schedule.
Is CJ Stroud going to start every game for Ohio State?
I think he won the starting job the other day. I believe I saw that correctly.
Yeah, he did. But is he going to start every game?
No.
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, they got 3 other freshmen.
Yeah, 2 of them are 5 stars.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, East Carolina at Appalachian State on ESPNU a week from tomorrow, and then Ohio State at Minnesota is on Fox, and then Bowling Green is at Bowling.
Say, I was going to say, is there a Boiling Green that I don't know about?
Yeah.
Are they rivals?
Springs.
Yeah, they're Division III. Lesser known. It's the lesser known of the Greens.
Bowling Green versus Blowing Rock.
They're at Tennessee on the SEC network. So next, and then you get Arizona. It's on the Pac-12 network. Arizona State plays at 10:30 on a Thursday night, but that might be a 3 television night. And you got South Florida at NC State, little Jeff Scott action. And you got Boise State at Central Florida. That Central Florida that we were just talking about.
Bill's excited for the season, I think, guys.
The Citadels this is all Thursday night. Next Thursday night's a big night.
Is that 300 degrees Fahrenheit? 300 Celsius?
Is Brian Burns' nickname Spider-Man?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Long
that. Is it because he's a
Long
big
arm.
Spider-Man fan, or is there a reason for it?
I think he has long arms. I think that's the reason for it.
Yeah, he's gonna have a big year.
Who is this?
Brian Burns.
Oh,
The defense should be okay. Derek Brown was really good at the end of the year. Jeremy Chin's a stud.
no, Craig, we got it. We got the joke. It was.
I thought it was a good joke. See, guys, it was funny because. Oh, and he's a huge comics fan. There you go, Patrick. Praise all over.
Okay.
Are you serious, RL? You think
Wait, RL. How do you think the Colts handled Andrew Luck?
He left.
How do you think they handled Andrew Luck?
Maybe he's gonna respond and be like, "That was the joke." Handle him in a way that forces him to retire before his 30th birthday.
And just walk off
Build the offensive line at the end of his career. Finally get a good offensive line the year he retires.
Trevor Lawrence has said he's not defined by football. That is Andrew Luck-esque.
Yep.
Wow. What a morning this has been. I can tell.
You still have to explain, really.
Oh,
Get
and we
something
got
fixed.
a rant. Jen, I haven't even listened at it, but Vern's been calling the old hot take hotline consistently the last few days. Going to send that your way. See if it's worth a few seconds. Just to maybe even cut him off.
I think that is actually an accurate comment because he's saying learn from how the Colts completely botched everything with Andrew Luck and
Is that
not
what
do
you
the
think?
same thing for Trevor Lawrence.
Maybe not get some protection for both. Yeah. Alan, you're on the computer. You can't type in the Jacksonville Jaguars roster. You can do that quicker than you can re-ask a question to us.
Yes.
Yes is the answer.
I thought AJ Cann was the only good offensive lineman. They were straight ripping though the idea that they brought back all five. That Jacksonville brought back all five offensive linemen and the offensive line coach from a bad offensive line a year ago.
Yeah, and they gave Cam Robinson on the franchise tag.
Yeah, I don't know what you do. I don't think you start Trevor Lawrence. I think his.
Oh,
I
as
think
far
he'll
as
get-
we understand, we just I agree with you 100%. I know where you are, and I agree 100%. We just try to limit the political. That's the only reason.
Jen's on the phone.
Nuh-uh.
Sounded excited to be on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually our bad. We read it as if you were saying, do what the Colts did.
And learn from those guys.
Yeah.
Instead of
Learn from their mistakes.
learn from those guys.
That was on us.
You're right, Hope. You're right. Everyone is moody this morning.
I'm always moody. I'll be more moody during college football season.
Jen, who was that on the phone?
It was Gamecock Larry calling back, apologizing.
For what?
You guys are up.
We hung up on him.
Gamecock Larry really just called back apologizing? No.
He felt bad that he maybe went on a rant he wasn't supposed to, and I said, "Hey, we appreciate the passion. We just wanted to take it down." But he was all good.
Hope is
he's good.
absolutely right now in the YouTube live stream. We need college football fast. Everyone is moody.
Well, I try to say this every year. This is, I guess maybe I realized this several years ago doing sports talk radio. Like everybody gets all excited for football at the beginning of August. They're like, oh, thank goodness the summer's over and we get to actually, talk about football. And let's talk about the quarterbacks and the wide receivers and the defensive backs. Let's talk football. football's here. Stop goofing off. Don't talk about coffee or donuts. And then, like, after 3 weeks, we've analyzed everything to death. And then people are like, this stinks. I'm tired of hearing you talk about the quarterbacks. Talk about anything else. I can't wait for the first game to be here so you guys stop talking about the quarterbacks. You guys are awful. And everybody, like, gets in a bad mood because it's just where we just end up because it's so close yet so far away. Tim, you said on the live stream, are you? I mean, I guess you're gonna. I almost felt like you answered the question. I almost feel like you said, "Hey, I'm going to watch Nebraska Illinois this week because I have a job that's centered around sports, and I feel like it's my duty to watch the game." Whereas I'm over here like, "Man, this is going to be awesome. Probably put the TV outside, the grill. There'll probably be a cigar going. It's a Big Ten game." It's an early Big Ten game, which fits right in with everything. Like
Taylor Martinez Heisman campaign starts on Saturday.
Who? Who'd you say?
Taylor Martinez.
I think, is it Taylor?
I think Adrian Martinez was a different Martinez that played years ago. I think it's Taylor Martinez.
There's another Martinez for okay.
I don't think they're related either. I'm pretty sure it's Taylor Martinez because I think I've thought this through and tried to make sure I said the right one before.
Trey says it's an Alliance game.
Yeah.
Because he's just happy to be here. That Alliance stuff yesterday was so odd. Happens this weekend. To me, I just get grizzled at people saying college football.
I had it backwards. Taylor Martinez was the old Nebraska quarterback. Adrian Martinez is the current Nebraska quarterback.
There you go. So the fact that Nebraska and Illinois play this weekend doesn't have me convinced that college football is back. There is some college football this weekend. I'll have it on just because we're turning the page a little bit, but not compared to what's going to happen next week. You went through the Thursday night schedule in the live video stream here during the break on the radio, and there are a lot of options for that Thursday night. To me, the most interesting one, certainly as it pertains to us, is East Carolina and Appalachian State. And the fact that you got Eastern Illinois even playing this weekend, starting their season. I thought it was interesting in yesterday's press conference that Shane Beamer mentioned that the Gamecocks had to approve that game. So I guess because it's Carolina's season opener and it won't be Eastern Illinois' season opener, I guess there's maybe something in the contract, or I don't know. I'd never heard of that before, that they had to approve that Eastern Illinois could play a week beforehand. Maybe it's that week 0 thing or however college football is setting it up, that there's approval from an opponent. I thought that was interesting for sure. And I thought yesterday's press conference from Shane Beamer, the first weekly press conference of the season, where he's going to be doing Tuesdays at 1:15 moving forward, and you can hear all those right here on 107.5 The Game. I gave it a 50-50 shot. Patrick, you said it was less. You were certainly right yesterday going in that a starting quarterback would be named. The fact that Shane Beamer said, no, we don't have a starting quarterback yet. Going to see how Luke Doty is. Just got out of a cast on Sunday. Zeb Nolan's only practiced 4 practices. Need to give him some more. That's where Gamecock football is. And I think that might contribute a little bit to the mood of this show, with that bit of intrigue going in, but also knowing that it's going to be against an opponent in Eastern Illinois that has only won a combined 2 games in the last 2 seasons at the FCS level and is a 13.5-point underdog against Indiana State going into this Saturday. And it kind of sums up where we are this morning, I feel like, in a lot of ways. And Bill, I thought it was interesting bringing up the Jags and the Saints from the other night about the Trevor Lawrence situation. Again, having at least seen him play a little bit now. And it was just odd seeing him play in that uniform and seeing him get hit as many times as he did, and the offense that he was in charge of struggling to just 1 field goal, I think it was, in his time. What they do with him moving forward is going to be absolutely fascinating, especially knowing it's with Urban Meyer. To me, it might be different if you had a more proven NFL head coach to take the patient route and kind of do what I guess was brought up on broadcast with a rookie quarterback, and knowing all the heavy investment and knowing how many times he just got hit the other night in the preseason game. What do you think Jacksonville should do? Or do you think that is a completely separate discussion, theory versus reality, with what Urban Meyer Company will do with Trevor Lawrence this year?
Well, I think there's legitimate question there as to what they may do and how they may go about trying to handle this. Dan Mullen, who is from the Urban Meyer tree there of coaching, Tim, you've pointed out several times, and I know it's college and it's different, but he's a believer that you don't bring quarterbacks in. Emory Jones is another good example, and you don't play them right away at risk of ruining their confidence. Look at the Jags schedule here: at the Texans, the Broncos, the Cardinals, at the Bengals, and then the Titans in the first 5 games. I guess there's a part of me, Patrick, I'll kind of defer to you on this. Broncos defense is pretty good. Cardinals,
really good.
Yeah, Cardinals, Bengals. I don't know if that's the murderer's row type schedule to start that you completely worry about Trevor Lawrence going out there and getting banged around. Look, watching the other night, and then I listened to Dan Patrick yesterday, and Dan Patrick made a good point. It's August, it's preseason. You don't hit the panic button just yet, but Urban Meyer looked lost. Urban Meyer is a head coach. I've never watched a head coach like I did for a half and went, yeah, that's going to fail. The announcers were talking about the offensive coordinator. They were kind of going over how Trey Lance has Kyle Shanahan. Justin Fields, we'll see. Maybe Matt Nagy's the answer for him. I don't know. I forget who's the offensive. The offensive coordinator is not Matt LaFleur. It's his brother. Is it Mike? And for the Jets, Mike LaFleur, who is supposed to be cut from the same mold as Sean Payton and then Shanahan, and then kind of the good quarterback coaches. So that they were kind of given, hey, Zach Wilson's got this guy to work with. And we're like, Trevor Urban's learning the game just like everybody else, and it's slipping my name, not Dana Bible. Who was the offensive coordinator for
Darrell Bevell.
Darrell Bevell, thank you.
You got the initials right.
So Darrell Bevell, but it's all a situation where it looks really bad, Patrick, to me when we're talking about Jacksonville. I know we compared them into Texas leading up to the draft, and you were like, man, Texans have no money, no draft picks. They're in a bad spot. At least with Jacksonville, you got money, you got draft picks, you kind of build an organization. But starting out, I don't know what you do with Trevor Lawrence and run the risk of just really deflating him early in his career from taking too many hits or losing too many games.
I don't really believe anymore in not playing these guys. Like, quarterbacks are more prepared than they've ever been before. Like, from a mental level, the Elite 11 stuff, and just the basically scientific nature of building a quarterback. We have Perry Worth on all the time. He's got a quarterback school for kids that are 10 years old that are just learning the position from every aspect. Like Trevor Lawrence, if he's not prepared or a couple bad weeks or a bad rookie season rattles him to the point that it ruins the trajectory of his career, then he wasn't going to make it anyway. These guys have to be able to figure it out. And Peyton Manning broke the rookie interception record and turned around and became one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So for me, I want to see him play right away. And at least week 1 against the Texans, who are maybe the worst team in the league, if you can't go out there and win and get some confidence against them and be the first rookie quarterback to win in almost 20 years, I don't know that it's going to go well at all. But I do agree with you on Urban Meyer. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. I don't think it's going to work out with him, not just because he looks lost, fundamentally or strategically. I think he's just misjudged how the NFL works, as was expected. He's already made some very glaring bad decisions, and I don't think his players are really on his side. We haven't heard great vibes coming out of Jacksonville, even though I think they sold more season tickets than they've ever sold before, and there's a bunch of money coming in around that area, and the overall state of the team is going to be really good, or the franchise and the organization. I think they're building kind of what the Cowboys did with the Cowboys City there with the Star in Arlington. Jacksonville is doing a lot of stuff like that. They're pumping money in, so it's a good situation overall, but I don't think Urban Meyer is going to be the guy to do it. I think it's going to be a couple years, and he's going to do something Saban-esque and he's going to not Saban-esque as in maybe leave in the middle of the night, but he's going to probably call it quits.
Well, the news that Travis Etienne is out for the season with the Liz Frank injury coming out yesterday after 1 catch and 1 carry, I guess, resulted in the injury in that Jags Saints game. So obviously not good news there. I'm kind of with an anonymous texter here. Patrick, I guess you gave a few examples there. The texter on the Cook Air line says it might fail, but you can't tell that just by looking at it on the sidelines in a preseason game. Come on, man. Bill, what did you see that gave you, that kind of got you to the opinion that you felt like it was absolutely lost there and it's just not going to work at all?
Well, a couple things. One, he just watching his body language, and I mean, we know Urban Meyer's history already. It was hard to decipher how involved in play calling he was with everything. What is Urban Meyer known for as a coach? Besides winning, he wins, but in college, and Tim, you make that face, but let me go back on this. Like Dan Mullen, a lot of people now, as Urban Meyer and Dan Mullen have separated from Utah and Florida, a lot of people said, man, it was more Dan Mullen that was the quarterback whisperer for Alex Smith and even Tim Tebow than it was Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer, to me, is known as a great recruiter. Well, that ability is kind of limited in the NFL. You're not recruiting. It's not the same.
I think he's known as an innovator offensively as well.
But see, let me ask you again: is he, or was that Dan Mullen? Because I feel like
Dan Mullen wasn't with him at Bowling Green.
Bowling,
right?
You got to give him credit for that. And to me, it's intensity, like to a fault, is what I know Urban Meyer as. Like the burning intensity that has caused him to burn out at the national championship stops, and then you combine that with the college background and you take it to the NFL, and that's why I think a lot of us, it was an easy take, right? When the hire happens, you don't see that as a great mix. But you're just saying maybe the lack of success. I mean, the Jaguars obviously weren't good in the first half against the Saints, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Urban Meyer will absolutely fail as a head coach moving forward. The preseason is the weirdest time ever, I think, or some of the weirdest data to go off of. Patrick, you mentioned the Ravens won 19 in a row in the preseason, which is one odd stat for sure. The fact that you got a guy like Marquez Callaway making a bunch of catches, a couple of touchdown catches, and now you think it's spoiled it. That's spoiled his draft status for you sneaking up and grabbing him in a fantasy football league. But so many years you see guys do stuff in the preseason in the NFL and then nothing in the regular season. I just feel like you can't take a whole lot from preseason games moving forward to the regular season, because the smart teams, they don't show anything in the preseason and they understand what it's there for. It's basically glorified practices, man.
Patrick, where do you put talent-wise? I understand what you're saying, glorified. Patrick, where do you put talent-wise? I know they were missing DJ Chalk, but now you take Travis Etienne out. Chark, whatever. That's not going to matter. To me, they're awful. Where do you put Jacksonville talent-wise? If you were doing, if the Patrick Perrette, where's the whiteboard? If you were doing the bottom 10 in the NFL, the bottom 10 teams, where is Jacksonville in the bottom 10? Are they at the very bottom? Are they at the very bottom? Or
no, the Texans are at the very bottom with the Lions, and then the Jaguars are in the conversation for the next like 3 spots that would fill out the bottom 5. They're for sure in that conversation, but I mean, every team in the NFL is talented. It's not like they have nothing. Their offensive line is bad, but I actually kind of really like their group of skill players. They have no tight ends to speak of, but DJ Chark is a very good receiver. Laviska Shenault, who they drafted last year, I think is going to be really good. He's sort of not a gadgety guy, but he's like a big yak guy. He has a running back type body. He's really like thick in the lower half and just really, really strong. And he was one of my guys in the draft because he's just awesome after the catch, runs like a running back, kind of like Debo. And then Marvin Jones, who's been really productive in Detroit and for a really long time. So I don't hate that. And James Robinson ran for 1,000 yards as an undrafted free agent. So if Etienne comes back, it's just another guy. But their offensive line is going to potentially be an issue. But also the Saints' defensive line is really good, and they kind of made the Jaguars look like children on Monday Night Football. So we might be overreacting to just how bad that offensive line is because the Saints do have a lot of guys to throw at you.
Okay. I still, the question becomes, what do you do? Do you let, and they made a good point. Again, and I say they, Steve Levy, Louis Riddick, and Brian Reese the other night. What do you do with Gardner Minshew? Do you let him go out and maybe hope that he has a few good outings and maybe you can use him as trade bait? Is that an option where you can maybe send him somewhere else? Do you keep him on the bench? There's a couple different options that I think Jacksonville has. And I think, again, it kind of centers back around. I don't question the talent of Trevor Lawrence. And they made a good point the other night, Patrick. I don't know if you heard it, Tim. I don't know if you heard it. And it was talking about Patrick Mahomes. And it was like, if Patrick Mahomes had gone to that Jacksonville organization, we'd probably be talking about a guy who has a ton of talent, but we don't know what he is. How good can he be? But instead, he went to the Chiefs. He sat behind a guy in Alex Smith for a year. He had a really good quarterback coach in Andy Reid who brought him along. And then he's got some dynamic weapons around him and an incredible tight end and a kind of a freak in the NFL and Tyreek Hill. And that was kind of their point. It was like Patrick Mahomes stepped into a great situation, and then all the talent that he had showed up.
Yeah, all of them did. If you look at all of like the young under 25 superstar quarterbacks, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, they traded up to get him, so they were obviously a good team. Josh Allen, the Bills traded up to get him. They had just made the playoffs with Tyrod Taylor the year before, but they traded up to go get Josh Allen because they felt like they needed somebody that brings a little bit more just overall. Deshaun Watson, the Texans had traded up to get him, and I mean, seems like a long time ago now, but it was only, 2 years ago that they were a really, really good team and they were up 24 points on the Chiefs in the playoffs. So yeah, all of those guys were drafted into great positions. The number one overall picks have been Kyler Murray, struggled but shown flashes. Joe Burrow, it was what it was. I think he looked pretty good, but was just getting mauled every single week. And now Trevor Lawrence. So it's just a harder deal when you're the number one overall pick. There's a reason it's been almost 20 years since a number one overall pick has won their first game, like we said, with David Carr. And I think was that an expansion year?
Yeah.
So it was also a totally different situation there as well. It's hard to be on the worst team of the league and come in and be successful right away.
Yeah, Lawrence to me is the combination of Joe Burrow and Kyler Murray, and from a skill set standpoint in a lot of ways, and I think is in a situation kind of somewhere in between those two guys as well.
Right.
But then you throw in the Urban Meyer part, and that's kind of the wild card here, and how he handles this situation and how he makes the transition to the NFL from college football. 803-404-6100, the number into the program. Who hit us up here a little bit earlier? It was Michael, I believe. Jackson had the number one for a reason. The difference in Peyton Manning starting and Trevor Lawrence starting, that right now Jacksonville has a quarterback-friendly contract to put needed parts to help him. When Peyton came in, guaranteed money, made the decision at quarterback. A bunch of you also weighing in on Gamecock football. We'll get back into that discussion for sure. Let you hear from the Carolina running backs, a couple of guys who have yet to take their first carry for Gamecock football that a lot of Gamecock fans been reading a lot about. You can hear from both Juju McDowell and Marshawn Lloyd when we come back. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game.
It is fun to talk a little bit about football and then also to start visualizing the great tailgate you'll have before a game. Of course, you need a good tailgating vehicle. Chevy Silverado, Chevy Tahoe, both excellent, both named the number one tailgating vehicle by me, Bill Gunner. That was all the scientific evidence we needed. Whether it's a Tahoe or a Silverado, you can set up a TV in the back. You can make sure the food is set up properly. It can carry the tents. It can carry the chair. You get the point. That's why in the Bill Gunner book, Chevy Silverado, Chevy Tahoe, number one tailgating vehicle out there amongst all the vehicles. And there's a great place you can go right now. Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. There has been a worldwide chip shortage, of course, due to the fact of COVID. But you know what? That hasn't slowed down what Love Chevrolet has been doing. Not only have they continued to keep the inventory they need to keep you happy, they also have not added on extra prices that have raised the price of these vehicles. So whether you're looking for a brand new tailgating vehicle or a certified pre-owned vehicle, the number one place to shop, Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. 14 acres of brand new Chevys, an incredible sales staff, very knowledgeable, ready to explain to you how a car or truck can help you with your everyday commute and your other family things that you need to get taken care of. And of course, the $1,000 low price guarantee, where you can take another dealership's deal back to the folks that Love Chevrolet and they will top it. If not, they'll write you a check for $1,000. Hadn't happened yet, won't happen anytime soon. Go visit Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads.
Yeah, that's the interesting part of the Jacksonville situation there, RL. What do you do? So, Patrick, you're saying play him? Go with it?
Yeah, I mean, I get what Dan Mullen says about don't play guys before they're ready, but it's a little bit different when you're starting a 18-year-old freshman who's not making any money and is still maturing, potentially still growing, and has not experienced anything like that versus a man making millions of dollars.
Well, you mentioned, too, the selling tickets and stuff. I mean, what if you're a new season ticket holder and you only get to see Gardner Minshew play while Trevor Lawrence is just hanging out on the sideline?
Yeah. And also, like, owners have a say in these types of things in the NFL. So I don't know if Urban Meyer's – I don't know how he's going to handle if Shad Khan came into his office and said, this isn't a battle, right? Or Trevor Lawrence is going to start week 1.
Yeah, I know Snyder didn't handle it so well with old Daniel Snyder.
No, he did not.
Yeah, I saw that, Hope. That's pretty cool.
Where's that kid from?
Yeah.
World Series. Said he wants to be – he's lefty, so he saw Michael Roth growing up.
He's not lefty. He's a righty.
Oh, yeah?
The video was he's a righty, but taught himself to throw lefty because he saw Michael Roth. Like, I want to be a lefty.
That's crazy.
Very fun.
I don't know where that kid was from, though. It seemed South Carolina's not in it, right?
Not that I know of.
So just a kid from a random part of the country was all invested in South Carolina baseball. It's kind of cool.
It is.
Roth retweeted it, right? That's what I saw. Should be able to tell from the kid's uniform.
They're not as that's the one thing with the uniforms though. It's
Oh, yeah.
more regional, isn't it?
Yeah, but it just says Little League Baseball on it, and I can't. I can read it's sponsored by Adidas. Shady. Chase Kelly, and it said R. O-R? What would that be?
Oregon?
Nah, I guess. Guess he could be from Oregon.
I don't know how they do it. I will
They
never
would done
watch.
the region. I don't know what the heck it stands for. I'll look him up. Chase Kelly, Little League World Series. I'm guessing it'll pop right up. Chase Kelly, Little League. The Lake Oswego team from Oregon. Yeah.
Of course.
See, the over-the-top sportsmanship has been controversial on Twitter.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know. I just saw a video. The guy was kidding, but it worked a lot of people up, saying this sportsmanship is getting too over the top because a kid gave up a home run and sprinted to meet the kid at home plate to give him a high five for hitting a dinger off him.
Right. I completely agreed with that. No, that's not what you do.
Of course not.
So have you guys watched the latest episode of Ted Lasso?
Yeah.
I gotta
Christmas
catch up.
one?
No, that was awful. That was the worst episode that Ted Lasso has done. Now I'm talking about the count.
It wasn't awful. There hasn't been an awful episode yet, but no, there's a new one.
Oh, yeah, there's another one I missed over the weekend.
Well, it comes out over Friday, so yeah. So finally watched it last night. It's good. It's one of my favorite ones so far.
It was a good one.
It's
Bill is
probably one of my favorite ones.
very polarized by Ted Lasso.
I think there's a hint. I can't, since you guys haven't talked about, there's a hint of what's, I mean, maybe y'all just already kind of see it coming, but there's a hint, I think, of what's coming in the future on something. Actually, the episode that I watched is from last Friday, but I watched it last night. I think tells me how this show, because it's supposed to wrap next year. I guess Jason Sudeikis has other engagements, and he's not going to be able to film past season 3. I don't know what the other engagements are, but
Gonna come hang out with me.
yeah,
He's got to find a new wife because she left him for Harry Styles.
She's a fool.
I hate her for that.
Oh, so not only he got divorced in the show, he got divorced in real life?
I know life is not fair.
Wow.
Olivia Wilde left him for a man 10 years younger than her.
Olivia Wilde?
Yeah.
Wasn't she recently, semi-recently dating Aaron Rodgers?
That's
No,
about
that's
2 years
Olivia
ago.
Munn. It's Olivia Munn.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Who has been known to be wild, I think.
Yeah.
Easy mistake to me.
All right. So is there any audio you want coming back?
Yes, ma'am. The last one there, number 10.
Well, I think this newest episode gave you a preview into how the show will wrap up. I feel like this was the turning point toward us heading to the final one next year, I guess.
Like Juju is the most explosive back that we got at South Carolina. He's his vision is good. You know, he can take on bigger defenders. I say Juju is special here at South Carolina.
Y'all see me smiling because, like, you know, this guy leaves me speechless, like literally speechless. Like, I'm serious, you know, with everything going on with him last year, him having the courage and the strength to bounce back, to have the camp that he's had this amazing, you know. All I have to say is get your eyes and popcorn ready.
Juju McDowell there. Last, Marshawn Lloyd. Before that, Bill is cackling because of Patrick's
What did you hear?
physical
Did you hear it?
response.
Patrick's reaction is exact. I mean, like, I understand what he said, and poor McDowell doesn't understand why Patrick did that. But Patrick, I think, had the own air reaction that I had yesterday when I heard that. I was like, oh, I'm glad he said that. But,
I just went full 180 in the middle of that thing. I was like, oh, this is so cute. No, you're the best. No, you're the best. No, you're explosive. No, you leave me speechless. Buy a ticket. Oh.
yeah, because that was Brian
Get your
Edwards,
popcorn
right?
ready.
Right.
That was,
Yeah, Brian
that was
Edwards said
Brian
buy a
Edwards.
ticket. And Muschamp said, you get a ticket?
Well, this was
Yeah,
leading
I
up
would-
to the 2019 season opener, the North Carolina game in Charlotte.
Yeah.
That went horribly wrong, and then the Muschamp era went that way as well. You can't hold that against these two, can you?
Well, no,
as
that's
Gamecock
why I'm
fans, you
laughing.
are.
That's why I'm laughing is because it really was. If you have to watch it. I don't think listening to the interview does kind of the camaraderie, the relationship that those two have built in the brief time that McDowell's been on campus. But it is kind of a buddy rom-com there that they're having, and then you get to that one point, and it's just scars. It's just scars that we had from Muschamp that it's going to take a while to heal. But yeah, I'm with Patrick because I will never. That happened on a Tuesday. It happened on a Tuesday, the week of the North Carolina game, and I'll never forget Patrick and I coming in on Wednesday. I was like, yeah, oh, we got tickets, we got popcorn, we got sodas, we got whatever they want us to buy. You hear these guys yesterday? We haven't heard confidence like that in years. And then
I was looking past North Carolina. What was the spread? The spread had to have jumped up a couple points that week. I mean, it was like
it was 11 and a half.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I thought it was over 10.
It was 11 and a half.
Wonder why Bill
Third
remembers
way,
that.
midway through the fourth quarter, I was like, well, I'm not going to cover, but that's okay. South Carolina's going to win. And then 30 minutes later, I was like, whoa, this is not a good start.
Yeah, truly. After hearing Brian Edwards and Will Muschamp talk, there was no way in my mind that we were dropping 50 on North Carolina.
Oh, I thought it was going to. So just scars. But it's good to hear that. You know, it's neat to hear. You hear the excitement. You hear, I think, some confidence in those two, and that's why. Was it Tim? You asked, or somebody asked earlier about Kevin Harris, and whereas we have this debate about, well, do you play Luke Doty? Do you not play Luke Doty? Do you get him a few snaps? Do you try to get him, a half? Do you let him go? Do you hold him for East Carolina? I think South Carolina's running back room with Kevin Harris is really good. Without Kevin Harris, you still feel like there are guys in that room that can produce and should be sound there and carry you to a victory against Eastern Illinois.
Oh, of course, in the season opener, I get that. I think the overall question that I have after I listen to that is how good is that position going to be for this year's team? We saw a very productive running back last year, but it was part of an offense that wasn't very good. Is the talent at the running back position going to be enough to get this offense to be a productive offense? And someone asked us a little bit earlier, what 3 players on each side of the ball do the Gamecocks need to kind of step up to win 6 games this year? And again, I just bring that up because I think that's a very reasonable goal and kind of is the ceiling for a lot of people, especially when you look at a Vegas over-under that has 3.5. So I think it applies here. Is the Gamecock running back position good enough to help this offense win 6 games as we sit here right now, not having seen these guys run in college at all? That's the interesting part to me with Marshawn Lloyd and Juju McDowell, even seeing a big-time run in a scrimmage and hearing the feedback about McDowell this preseason. It was similar going into last preseason about Marshawn Lloyd, but he's coming off an ACL injury. Patrick, what do you think? With what you just heard, does it make you more doubtful, more encouraged, or it just doesn't affect you at all?
No, I don't think it affects me at all because we knew what we had. I mean, we knew this is the most talented position on the team overall. I think they will obviously help the offense a lot, but I think it's also going to be important how they're used. Like you want to use 3-4 guys, sure, but just don't make it obvious what's going to happen. Like I don't want to see, all right, Kevin Harris is in the game, it's going to be a running play, and the defense just packs the box because they know Kevin Harris is in, it's going to probably be a run between the tackles because that's what he does. All right, Marshawn Lloyd's in, they'll probably do some sort of play action or put him out wide, and we'll just go nickel and we'll put a defensive back out there to cover him. Or if Juju McDowell's on the field, like 100% of the time they're passing. Like as long as the tendencies aren't ridiculous and you can't just assume what's going to happen depending on who's on the field, because that's kind of was the old school thing, at least in the NFL, and I think college football, just you had your first down and second down back, and then you bring the pass catching guy in to come in on third down. And I don't want that. I don't want it to be obvious what's going to happen. So I think it's going to be on Marcus Satterfield as well to make sure that he's kind of disguising things and staying creative with all these guys. It's good to keep them fresh and keep a rested, healthy, fresh running back coming in on every play, unless it's too obvious what's going to happen.
Interesting, yesterday in Shane Beamer's press conference, he was asked how much Juju McDowell will play, and his simple answer was a lot. Did that surprise you at all there, Bill?
No, but that's also because they're factoring in what he can do on special teams, and the feeling is that he's probably going to be, I think the kick returner. He'll play a role. I think that's what he did in high school was the kick return team, was pretty dynamic there. Again, we talk about this football team, we talk about quarterbacks. The wide receivers certainly need to step up. I'm not saying that McDowell is a wide receiver, but he is, from all accounts, what people are saying, one of the more dynamic players on the team. So if you need to motion him out, put in the slot, or line up 2 running backs at a time, and he's a guy who can, again, motion out and you try and create a mismatch, then that's probably something you have to do. I don't know, if you look at that offense, you hope for DeCarrion Joyner to have a great year. But I don't know if DeCarrion Joyner is a guy who scares you to the point of him touching it on a screen or a slant, like, say, a Deebo Samuel or a Shi Smith, and being able to go 75 yards. DeCarrion Joyner doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. I don't know if that's what people are expecting from him this year. I expect a reliable receiver who can get open, but maybe not somebody who's just going to, outrun the opposing defense like we would see from Deebo and Shi at times. I don't expect that out of Josh Vann. I don't expect that out of Jalen Brooks. But what I do, from what we've heard, is Juju McDowell is a shifty, quick player. I think yesterday he thinks he's one of the fastest players in the country was one of his comments. But he's a guy who, if used properly, I think possibly is a guy that other teams at least have to keep an eye on if he can make the transition. And it sounds like this so far he has.
Yeah, the way I see it, and it was Larry who hit us up asking kind of the three guys who might not be talked about so much on either side of the ball that have to step up for the Gamecocks to win 6 games. To me, it doesn't really matter who it is, but there needs to be, first of all, a productive, healthy Kevin Harris at running back, and then one of these other running backs to step up as a solid option and maybe a big play guy or just to flash there. Marshawn Lloyd, Zaquandre White, Juju McDowell. Any one of those three. If they have a productive season or collectively they have a productive season, the Gamecocks will be in good shape at running back, you feel like, or offensively. Also, the same kind of is true to me at wide receiver. And I think that one you can throw in, I don't know how many names at this point. I mean, the top 3 guys, and Jalen Brooks, you're talking about explosive plays. I think the coaching staff expects him to be that guy. To carry on Joyner, Josh Van are the top 3 guys now. You could throw Ortre Smith or Xavier Legette and go down the list, Rico Powers, whatever it is. You got to have another guy step up there. And then on the offensive line, I feel like you got to have a really good season from your left tackle specifically in pass blocking that we didn't see last year. And however they end up shaking things out there on the line, those would be my 3. And I don't know if you can certainly argue that those are being talked about a bunch, but that would be the 3 that I would choose if we needed to answer Larry's question there, Bill. Do you have 3 in mind, 3 guys on the offensive side of the ball that need to step up for the Gamecocks to win 6 games?
Brooks, Turrentine, and who was your third?
One of the running backs there. McDowell, Lloyd, White.
I'll just go. I'm going to take both tackles. Dylan Wanham and South Carolina's pass protection. We can talk about some things Colin Hill did last year, but South Carolina's tackles against really good teams got annihilated. I mean, what was it, Patrick? The Larry twins? Is that how you say their name? Ojulari twins. What they had, like, combined 8 sacks on South Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, I think the freshman BJ for LSU had 3.
Yeah, I mean, the ones from LSU, ones from Georgia, they just had a field day. And I think when we're saying guys that are not talked about, we're talking about Luke Doty, we're talking about Kevin Harris, we're talking about Marshawn Lloyd. I'll take the 2 tackles, and then I think the stat that I'm about to give you in terms of wide receivers, in terms of catches, I believe Ortre Smith, who hasn't played in 2 years, is the wide receiver returning with the most catches on the team. Josh Van might have him beaten by a couple. Josh Van had 10 catches last year. For Josh Van's career, yeah, Josh Van is got to be, because I think Ortre is right over 30. Josh Van for his career is at 47. But I would go with Ortre Smith, guys. Is a player who you need to step up and have a really good year, because he was highly thought of coming out of Wando High School. You did see him make some plays. It's forgotten at this point, but Tim, 2018, he catches the big touchdown over the middle, bounces off a Louisiana Tech defender and into the end zone, and that miraculous comeback there in the 4th quarter. I saw him catch a touchdown against Kentucky, a meaningless touchdown late there, but he had some big catches in 2018, some very solid catches. That, to me, is a guy that, because you haven't seen him in 2 years. You didn't see him really in 2019. I think he was out by the 2nd game, and then 2020 he opted out. That has the potential to be one of the Gamecocks' top 3 wide receivers. We'll see if he's able to kind of live up to that this year.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I would agree with all of those, except I would add Jaheim Bell would be one of my 3, just because, I mean, we saw him taking carries and looked like a running back to the point where we had to look up who the guy was because he looked natural running the football, and he's super athletic and brings a different element than what Nick Muse might bring. And we already know what we're going to expect from Nick Muse. So if you can have 2 tight ends out there who are big time matchup problems, and just, you can kind of do what you want with defense, because you decide how the defense lines up. If they go more defensive backs, and you just run it right at them. If they go more heavy sets, then you just have 2 guys who are really athletic out there to catch passes. So I think he, as sort of a Swiss Army knife on the offense, could be very, very dynamic.
Let me just say, I didn't realize this. I'm looking at Ortre. I was getting it. Ortre Smith has 42 total catches in his career. I think I said Josh Van has 47, 19, 18, and 10. I didn't realize, and I said 2018 was the last time we saw Ortre Smith. I didn't realize it was 2017. He had 30 catches his freshman season in 2017. He had 3 catches in 2018, 9 in 2019, and opted out last year. I did not realize it was 2017 when Ortre Smith had 30 catches and 3 touchdowns in his freshman season.
Yeah, to me, that's why. I mean, there's not talked about that much, and then there is. To me, it's a long shot by this point because it's been so long, and we've seen other seasons of less production, and that's that thing about the Jaheim Bell deal too. I know Nick Muse yesterday saying this is going to be a new Jaheim Bell, one that you might not have ever seen, but I mean, he was an option last year, and just there was virtually no production there. So I get what we saw in the spring game. I've seen other spring games in years past, though, where guys would step up and flash, and then you never hear from them again. Jaheim Bell is in the category of you're going to have to prove it on the field in the fall on Saturdays that you can be that guy before I can believe it at this point.
Well, but I mean, 4 years, almost going on 4 years now, or 3 years for Ortre Smith, that I would say can't be relied on versus not being talked about enough. But a kid who was a freshman during a COVID year with limited coaching abilities and just weird situations overall, I think this would be the type of year where you'll see guys who may be underwhelmed or underachieved as freshmen take huge jumps just because
they have a full year to learn and be out on the field all the time, and everything just kind of back to normal.
Well, I agree with you. The thing about Ortre Smith is it's been injury related and not.
Right.
It's not like we've seen him.
Yeah,
Josh Van has been on the field and has 47 catches. I know he's had an injury here or there, but Josh Van has been on the field and has 47 catches. Ortre Smith really since 2018 has not been healthy, and then obviously not playing football last year. I'm with you. I don't know if this kneecap injury, I think they said, I don't know if it's one
congenital. But no, it is. It's one that it wasn't an injury on the field. It was a congenital thing, and that's the unique part of him and his situation for sure. I think we have a unique show ending for you here when we come back. I think you guys will like it. Apparently, there's at least one caller out there not happy with me specifically. Hear that next. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game. Oh, it's all about timing. You got a little time left in this morning's show, and we'll try to make the most of it for sure. You can make the most of your buying power right now with where the housing market is at this time. It is absolutely on fire, and Buford Lending wants to help you take advantage. They know the 25 years experience they have down at Buford Lending gives them the opportunity for you to maximize your buying power in whatever situation you're in. Benji Getzi and his team, they've seen it all in the 25 years they've been in business. And Buford Lending, I can tell you from firsthand experience, going to help you maximize that buying power. The numbers they've shown me in my specific situation, astounding and really impressive. And it just kind of opened my eyes to some possibilities. Let them work for you. They are a lender that you can trust. Going through the lending process with Buford Lending, I can tell you firsthand that they will be there for you every step of the way. Exactly what I need in a lender, someone I can count on. That's what Buford Lending can be for you, whether you're looking for a conventional construction renovation loan, you're looking to refinance maybe a VA, an FHA, or USDA loan. Buford Lending can help you in your situation. Give Benji Getzi and his team a call, 843-524-2404. I'll run to the bathroom real quick. Be right back.
Oh, good. I like the wide-ranging opinion on this show from some of our texters that we're either too negative or too positive. There doesn't seem to be a middle ground. Oh, U.S. Open, Serena Williams has withdrawn.
Yep. Unfortunate.
Yeah, torn hamstring. Yeah, I was supposed to look and see.
I'm bummed that Djokovic didn't win the gold medal, even though I don't really like Djokovic, because then he would be going for a Golden Slam, and that would have been really cool to see. Could have been the first one to ever do it.
Basically, Dennis Dodd went on Sirius XM and said that the alliance was a nothing burger and the Pac-12 is not expanding. So they just needed to apparently get out there in front of the media yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly embarrassing.
It was a bad press conference. I agree with you on that. It was. Alrighty.
Hey, going up early. I wasn't debating whether to watch Carolina or Clemson. I'm doing both at the same time.
He will do both.
And actually, I'm going to be watching a lot of games at the same time. I'm probably just going to be at a bar in Nashville for that.
Oh, you going up to Nashville that weekend?
That's fun. I'm going to be in the car quite a lot for my week off.
How much is it? There used to be cheap tickets out of Greenville on Southwest. If you,
well, I'm going on Saturday. I have to drive to Greenville, then Greenwood, then Maryland, and then the week after, the Friday after, I'm driving from Maryland to Nashville, and then the Memorial Day, the day after, I'm driving from Nashville back here.
Labor Day?
Yeah.
So why are you doing, what was that? That was a Greenville and a Greenwood and
Saturday I'm going to Greenwood to walk through a house for my parents. I was going to drive right home, but now we need to look at a house. So I'm going to take a bunch of pictures, and look at a house for them in Greenwood, and then drive to Maryland for our family to all be back together at the house for one final time before it's sold. And then, yeah, I will go to Nashville for Memorial Day, or yeah, Labor Day weekend.
You good with Vern to straight in, send us out? Fantastic. You're still on. There you go. Now we can hear you. What was that?
Sorry. Yeah, I think it'll be a nice.
Look at that grin. I didn't even hear it, but I just saw that what you labeled it. I'm like, oh, that was pretty good.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, Lake Greenwood, David. That's where they're looking.
yeah, I need to go up there and play golf one more time here.
They were looking at a couple golf course communities, but nobody plays golf in my family, so we kind of a waste of money.
Yeah.
There are a lot of places where it's just crazy fees. I think there was something like $750 a month, like community or HOA fees or
Yeah,
something like
that's
that. So, like, dude, that's insanity.
Yeah. You better be cooking my meals for that.
Yeah.
You will appreciate how I ended this.
Awesome.
Edit.
Let's go.
I don't know why y'all don't find somebody else to host the morning show. So I've been listening for years. I don't know why y'all put him on there and stuff. Be blessed. Have a blessed day.
Will do. Vern on the Hot Take Hotline. Coming strong this morning. By the way, the Hot Take Hotline, there for you 24/7, 803-978-6654. if you need to vent, I'm glad it was there for Vern. It's sponsored by Twin Peaks. For the Men Who Never Settle, go see him down in the Vista at 600 Gervais Street. Jen, I know you did a little editing there. Was there any particular reason this morning why Vern was mad with me?
I think it had to do with your take on Trevor Lawrence, how he performed the other night. Maybe he's a little wimpy or something to that effect. Was kind of his take. So
That Trevor was wimpy, or that I
yes,
said?
that Trevor is wimpy, and then you were kind of defending how Trevor's performance. Yeah.
Hey, Tim Hill's been carrying water for Trevor Lawrence for years now.
Yep. True story.
Vern and everybody else, I'd like to give you a chance to go fly down to Miami for free. Hop aboard Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea. It's a 5-day adventure to Grand
45.
Bahama Island. If you just text the national keyword WRESTLE right now to 64636, you got a chance to win. That's 64636 is the number. The word is WRESTLE, WRESTLE. This has been one of the most enjoyable shows and well-ranging shows that I think we've ever done, guys. I mean, Prestige Worldwide was mentioned. Gamecock Larry's poetry, along with his daily calls to his bank, and political opinions were expressed. You guys feel, Bill, you feel as good about this show as I do?
I mean, show's coming to a conclusion. 3 hours. Whoever's at the bank, get your popcorn ready.
And your eyes.
And a man wanting to know what his balance is, and he'll be on the phone shortly.
WNKT-FM. It's all sports, all the time.
Woo, that was fun.
I just thought, when he said, because he did say, have a blessed day, and I thought that was the perfect compliment.
That is a great ending. Chris, feel free to go back on YouTube and check it out early. Nice shot at Bill, though. Well done.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Solid.
Totally necessary.
All right, guys, let's say goodbye. See you live streamers.